Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be talking with a lot of people. We're going to be celebrating the Ada Lovelace Day. We are here with Jessica and Paloma. They are from PyLadies Berlin. And I'm here as the PyLady. My name is Laisa, and I'm here as PyLadies Munich. I will be coordinating this meetup today. Jessica, maybe you can say some words.
Hi, everyone. Happy Ada Lovelace Day. It's really great to be online. Please be generous to us because this is the first time that we're doing this all together with this setup. So it's rather exciting, but also a little bit nerve-wracking. And we have a great lineup for you today. And we also have some great prizes. We'll be posting a link to sign up to the raffle shortly. Where you have the opportunity to win some great books. One of the books in the raffle today is actually from a fellow PyLady, which is Naomi Seda. Her book is the Quick Python book. If you're not familiar with it, you can check it out on manning.com, who are also one of the sponsors for today's event. We also have some JetBrains licenses for folks, which is really cool. So you can use PyCharm or any of the IDEs of your choice for the year. And we have some great vouchers also from Commando, sponsored by Commando. So this will be also a really nice opportunity to get yourself some goodies. So to kick off with the agenda, we're going to put the slides up. And Paloma, I think, is going to kick off for us.
So maybe we're gonna just go over the chapters. So I don't know if you are familiar, here in PyLadies is an international group, but here in Munich we have 4 chapters which are currently active. And we're gonna talk just a little bit about them together with Paloma. She was also gonna introduce a little bit about this special day that was actually yesterday, but we are celebrating today. So here are everything about our chapters. It's PyLadies Munich, PyLadies Karlsruhe, PyLadies Hamburg, and PyLadies Berlin. The PyLadies group has been founded in Los Angeles in 2011, so it makes like 10 years since these groups are active all over the world. And it aims to involve more women in the Python communities today, for example, and to make not only women, but all the minorities and underrepresented. So we are everywhere. Actually, the interesting fact is the country who has more PyLadies all over the world is actually PyLadies Brazil. There are many, many chapters there, so it's quite interesting. But there are chapters popping up every day. And in the Germany community, there are currently 4 chapters active. What we do? So the PyLadies community, it's kind of a bridge between underrepresented people, women, and minorities to a wider network, and also a place where people can go and they can talk about Python and they can talk about things that they are learning and feel safe in that environment. It's also an international network. As you saw, there are a lot everywhere. So it kind of makes a very huge world community. And bring diversity to tech, it's one of the aims. There are several activities that the PyLadies are working towards. It's actually promoting, educating, and diversity in the Python community with tutorials, with meetups, with a lot of things related to learning, and as well just actually having this network where people can go and can talk about Python. I will introduce a little bit about the chapters. What do they do? And the first one is PyLadies Berlin. I believe it's the first one in the whole Germany, and it's one of the strongest chapter and also the biggest. They do regular monthly meetups. Twice per year, they have a full day of workshops, and they have a lot of they connect the companies with people. So they are always sharing about jobs in the Slack channel, and also just getting reference between who are doing who in the Berlin community and so on. And if you want to access, follow them on Twitter, you can go for @PyLadiesBer, and PyLadies Berlin is the chapter where you can find in the Slacks, and you can also send them an email by berlin@pyladies.com. In case you want to be a speaker, in case maybe you are visiting Berlin, and in case you want to attend the Berlin meetups. This one is PyLadies Munich. It's actually the one that I organize. We do also monthly meetups in the city of Munich. We have a meetup page, which is here. You can also follow us on the Twitter and can be also added in the Slack. If you want to be a speaker in your community, you can write to munich@pyladies.com, or you can write directly to me. Also, if you work in a company that wants to host us or wants to, I don't know, sponsor some prizes to us, you can also write. We are always looking for companies and speakers, and actually just people who wants to participate. Another chapter is PyLadies Hamburg. They also do regular monthly meetups with talks and workshop, and they run workshop. If you want to run a workshop, like you have an idea, or if you want to share something that you are learning, you can contact them in hamburg@pyladies.com. Or you can also follow them on the Twitter and send them a message. They will answer you very fast. In the city of Hamburg, maybe you are in the north of Germany, you can attend this event as well in person when they will be happening. The last chapter that will be presented today is the PyLadies Karlsruhe. It was founded in 2019. It focuses in Python, in data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. And it's composed of talks, coding sessions, workshops, and network. If you want to get involved somehow, maybe in the organization or being a speaker, you can contact them in the karlsruhe@pyladies.com. How to get involved. So a lot of people, they ask how they can get involved on that, like in the PyLadies chapters in general. Or yeah, there are a lot of ways you can do that. You can be a speaker, you can host a meetup. If your company has people who you think could be a good speaker, you can motivate them. If you are a male developer, for example, you can always try to invite female developers for your company, for example, to attend the events, because sometimes it's quite, it can be quite a bit weird. Sometimes you go to events and there are not so many women there. So sometimes it's good to have a company to go to those events. So I think there are a lot of ways that you can help these communities to grow. And I just think there's very nice communities that are present in Germany. And also, if you want, maybe in your city, you see a potential to have your own community, you can also text us in these channels, and we may walk you through how to build a community in your city, for example. That was it from my side. Now, Paloma will take over, and she'll talk a little bit about the Ada Lovelace Day. That's the reason we are here also celebrating. So it's good to understand why if you don't know this lady. So she will talk a little bit about this.
Yes, so this is the big question. Why? Why is that this crazy day with this character that I hope everyone heard about it, but if you didn't, this is your chance. So Ada is our main role model, because without this woman, we would just not be doing our works. She is the person who invented or who envisioned this analytical machine, which now we call computers, to do way much more than just being a calculating machine. In the next slide, you see another picture from her where, so she was the daughter of Lord Byron, the poet, but she was raised by her mother, who was also a mathematician. She was a mathematician, and she helped Babbage in the notes where so Charles Babbage is the person who invented the analytical machine, and that it is the prototype of what today we understand as a computer. And Ada was Ada's mentor. She was very young at the time, and she was wondering, wow, what could it be, that potential? And one of the things that she also envisioned what this machine could one day do is actually doing music. which for me is very dear and co-information. We did had a special event at PyLadies just for live coding with music, like live coding music using Python as one of the possibilities to do with Python. We should repeat it. And Laisa, can you change the slides, please? That is a very brief introduction about her. Can you change for the other one too? And because I do not want to take too much time on that, as we have a lineup of amazing women doing very interesting stuff to see today. So here I present to you our draft of agenda. We will start with this introduction, done. Then the next one we follow with Ellen Schwartau talking about Oh My Love to Ada Lovelace. So she will present you a little bit more facts about it. We follow with Laisa, our moderator of the day, bringing all the news about the Python 3.1, 3.10, and right out of the oven, brand new gossips about it. We follow with Ladies talking about this project, which is an intersection about art and coding and decolonialism, with a project that started on October 1st, is on air, called Named After Men. We will have a break because everyone needs to do this pause, eat some, hydrate, eat something, and then last slide, please. We will end up with 4 more talks. Jessica giving us very important tips about mindful goal setting. This is a subject that is always brought to our meetings, how important it is, self-care and taking care of one another, and Jessica has these amazing tips for that. And also how to reach your objectives into this career where we can easily get lost into this full of information and possible paths. We follow with Maria. Maria has been doing several projects with plants and now with fun robots that cleans, automated your house, and she set up, I know she had a very hard work setting up a good documentation of the work so we can understand a little bit and put our hands on in a good do-yourself style with a little bit of electronics and using Python for it. And then we will have Miss Teresa from Hamburg talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of AI. Our last presentation will have our invitees from Karlsruhe, Johanna and Ellen, talking about what they are doing right now, collecting data to build this beautiful cloud. And they will talk about it, they will present it, and they will talk a little bit how they did it and present a little bit. And we will end up having a big chat with the ones that can stay and talk to us, doing some closing notes about the day. So with no more further ado, I will leave you with Helen. Oh no, sorry. First, before, big shout out to our sponsors. Jessica, do you want to talk about it? You presented a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So we have some great sponsors for the event today. And sorry about the link for the raffle. I am putting an updated link right now for the form into the chat. I think on YouTube it might be posting me twice, once as Munich PyLadies and once as Berlin PyLadies. But there you go, double the information, I guess. Better twice than not at all. So what do we have today? We have 2 awesome licenses for JetBrains, which is an IDE. You can get PyCharm with these, and then you'll be able to use PyCharm for the year. It's a really great program. We're often recommending it in our workshops. We have 5 vouchers for O'Reilly books. They have a great selection of tech books. So it's really worth checking out on the website. You can use this on the website for any book of your choice from O'Reilly. We then have 3 copies of the Manning book, Quick Python, which is written by Naomi Sita, who is also a member of PyLadies over in the States. And Manning also kindly have this discount code for everybody. So everybody gets something today, which is 35% off the Manning, the books on the Manning platform. This will be activated, should have been activated today already, and lasts for 2 months. And then we have 4 times 25 euro vouchers, kindly sponsored by Camunda. So yes, lots of opportunities to enter and to win something. So please go ahead and fill in the form. We're only going to use that data for the duration of this event so that we can get in touch with you. We just need some sort of nickname and some sort of contact method. That's all. And yeah, good luck, everybody.
So I think we can introduce the next speaker, right? Which will be Ellen. She actually is going to talk about, let me remove here. I will now share with Ellen and call Ellen to this call. So Ellen, what are you going to talk about? What? Can you give us an overview?
Yes, I can. I'm very honored to talk about Ada Lovelace today. I think I already started screen sharing. Do you need to edit? Yeah. Yes, but before I start digging deeper into what Paloma already talked about a little bit, I'd like to introduce myself a bit more. I'm Ellen, and I'm most of my time working at Orbit as a technologist. So I'm most of my time a software developer. If you want to find out more about Orbit, you can find the name on the top right corner, because Orbit actually, next to my software development stuff, gave me the chance to dig deeper into the past of famous women in tech. And if you start Googling women in tech, you find a lot of names. So for example, Ada Lovelace on the left side. And I actually didn't know her name before. Grace Hopper was known to me, but I didn't know Ada Lovelace. So I started wondering why she's so famous. And if you look at the picture, you might recognize that already her clothing is pretty interesting compared to the clothes of the other persons. So that's actually something that impressed me on first sight. And this is an image taken from Wikipedia. It's just showing the lifespan of famous women in tech. I'm pretty sure there are more that are just not known. But Ada Lovelace is in the top of the list, and she actually lived pretty early. And she even lived 100 years before the first computers, in terms of large capacity computers, were even built. So that's actually something you should keep in mind, because she lived from 1815 to something. And if you Google Hamburg, because I'm from Hamburg, in the 18th century, that's actually what the pictures look like. So just to give you a bit of context in what time Ada grew up. So let's start from the beginning. She was born in 1815, and actually her parents got divorced or separated 5 months after she was born. And it's the relationship between her mother and her father is pretty important for how her life turned out to be. Because as Paloma also already said, Lord Byron was a poet. The left is Annabella Noel Byron. I hope I pronounced their names correctly. I'm not sure. And you might call Lord Byron a former Charlie Sheen, because he was a poet and he loved poetry, but he also loved alcohol and women. So their relationship actually didn't end that well. And to prevent Ada from stepping into the steps of her father, she actually took care of the education of Ada. And that education was pretty scientific. So there was a bit of music and also a bit of painting, but painting, for example, was mostly with a ruler. So her education contained a lot of maths and chemistry and physics. And that I'm pretty sure that Ada got a lot of creativity from her father because of her imagination, but having the support of this education was pretty fundamental for everything that Ada was doing afterwards. For example, when she was 12 years old, she was dreaming about writing a book about flying, and she didn't write the book, but if you remember that the first engine powered flight was in 1903, then like having a 12-year-old person dreaming about a book about flying is pretty amazing. And life back then wasn't easy for women in general, but it also wasn't easy for educated women. Just one other example, some of you might know this person, it's De Morgan. He created a lot of mathematic rules, and he said that the very great tension of mind which they require, and they in this part is the act of performing highest level mathematics, is beyond the strength of a woman's physical power of application. So he was actually saying that only men had the strength to really perform such complex exercises. And he was actually already one of the more progressive and modern people with a more modern view on female education back then. So let's just keep it like that. He wasn't, yeah, let's just keep it like that. In 1833, Ada was 17, and she was actually introduced to the society. And that was, back then, that was a ball with dresses and people who they got to know. And she met Charles Babbage, or Babbage, and he was 42 when he meets Ada for the first time. Don't worry, it's not the start of the marriage and the 3 kids. It's more the start of a mentorship, and they became mentor sparring partners for each other. Because at that time, Charles was a mathematician, a philosopher, and also an innovator. And what he innovated was the analytical engine, which is the machine on the left side. One fun fact concerning this machine: to calculate multiplication with 20 digits took this machine 3 minutes. The machine was actually not built because Babbage he won the financing round, but he somehow got in a fight with the government, so it wasn't built. But that's not really important, because Ada took she was listening to a presentation that Babbage was giving, and she wrote a manuscript about it. And in the manuscript, or more importantly, in the appendix of this manuscript, she created something that is known today as the first computer program in 1840. And this is actually, again, 100 years before the first large capacity computer was built. And it looked like that. I took a closer look at it, and this paper is calculating the Bernoulli numbers. So calculating numbers. But it already contains a lot of the building blocks that we as developers or IT people are using every day. So I hope you can see it properly. I guess not, but if you Google it, you can find a larger version of it. So in the top left corner, there are variables and naming. Then there are line-by-line commands, and there's also the statements that are executed. There is results. There's also some looping and also comments to make people understand what's supposed to happen. Plus, there's also conditional branching. And there are also bugs, because nowadays there are some versions that are programmed or that program the commands that are written on paper, and they actually found some bugs by translating it into Python, for example. And I find it quite amazing that everything that we use today to develop code is already included without having a programmable computer at that time. And then I dig deeper into Ada Lovelace and what she was saying. So there's going to be some citations that I'd like to present to you. So she's, for example, saying that the analytical engine has no pretensions whatever to originate anything. It can do whatever we know how to order it to perform. So she's basically saying that everything where we know how to teach it to a machine, it can transform anything to everything. So that's actually what I was taught is called an algorithm. So you take an input, teach the machine how to transform it, and then you have another output. But she also, I think that Paloma also mentioned that before, the machine that she was working with was mostly for number crunching, but she was imagining that a machine can not only transform numbers, but also whatever they want to transform. And was also saying that machines can also be taught how to compose music. And I mean, how long, I don't know when we had an AI composing music for the first time. Very recently, I would say, compared to when Ada lived. And also, she was not only thinking about what computers were able to do, but also about their limitations. So she was also saying that a machine would have no power of anticipating any analytical relations or truths. And that's, again, something where, I don't know, I could discuss for hours with people about that one sentence. And the problem was that she was ahead of time. And although she used comments in her computer program, no one actually really understood what she was talking about. She at least got some rewards for her mathematician that was also contained in the paper, but not really for the rest that she was imagining. So how comes that we know who Ada is today? Because her work was mostly forgotten. And there's another person that is very important. I don't know if you maybe recognize this person. And if you don't know him by picture, maybe that helps. Or this, because this is the Enigma machine. This is a movie apparently, and this is Alan Turing. And what he was doing is he actually found Ada's work, and he was writing a paper, and he was trying to answer the question, computer machinery and intelligence. I propose to consider the question, can machines think? And he actually took the limitation that Ada was proposing. She was saying it can follow analysis, but it has no power of anticipating any analytical relations or truths. And he was saying that her objection is tantamount to saying that computers can never take us by surprise. Indeed, they can. So if this is not an example of asynchronous communication, what is? And I'd really love to know, to have them in a room today and ask them the question, can they? And just let them discuss and listen to them. We can't, but yeah, since he was mentioning Ada was at least back on the table of the society. The funny thing is that people were now questioning, did she really do it herself? I mean, she's female. Which is even more funny because back then, I can really recommend this article, Secret History of Women in Coding, because back then it was mostly women who were doing computer science. That's it so far. A little bit of advertisement, because if you want to know more about Ada, I'm having a podcast with two friends of mine. It's called Unmuted. And in our first episode, we actually already talk about Ada. It's in German, unfortunately, or if you want to read about, like, if you want to have a look at the written version of my presentation, you can also check my blog. There's a German version again, but this is it. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for the great talk. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I just need a minute and then we're going to share the next speaker, which is actually me. So thank you for the talk. I want to ask people if they have a question or if they have comments. Let's check.
Maybe one
thanks,
other
Ellen,
comment.
Susan Say, thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe one comment from my side.
It's only for women. Who wants to answer that? Maybe Jessica can answer that.
Sure, I can answer that. So the PyLadies platform was put in place to try and focus and empower women and non-binary or underrepresented genders in tech. However, our events are for everybody. Each chapter has their own kind of feeling on that, and we have had certain events in the past where we have asked for male participants to not attend. But in general, it's open for all. So feel very welcome to please join our Slack, where you can get updated on all the events that we're doing and all the kind of activities that we have going on. But thanks for asking the question.
Great. So now you know. Now let's go over more. Hello, everyone, and thanks, Ellen. So a lot of people really like your talk. I hope they like mine too. A lot of people are saying thank you, thank you. If you have a question, please just pop it in. But I don't see like a question regarding to her specifically. Someone asked, what's your first programming language? I think we all know it's Python. I'm kidding. But yeah, so now I will start my presentation.
Enjoy.
Thank you, Ellen, for your great presentation.
Thanks.
Big applause. And actually, I will be talking about the latest Python 3.10, which was released in 4th of October. So it's pretty new. I just need to change it here. 1 second. Actually, 1 second, I'm not being able to share my own screen for some reason. So I need a minute. Maybe, Jessica, you can go over the prices for a second.
Yeah, of course. Always some like technical issues to sort out, right? So the prizes for today, we have a number of books. We have 3 copies of Naomi Sada's The Quick Python book, which is really awesome. I can definitely recommend it. She's also a fellow PyLady. We also have 5 gift vouchers for O'Reilly books. We have 2 licenses for JetBrains, who make the IDE PyCharm, which is really great for if you're coding in Python, but they also have IDEs for other languages. And we also have 4 €25 vouchers, kindly sponsored from Camundo. So really great prizes. Please sign up in the forum. We're just using that information just to run the raffle, and we'll delete it later. But yeah, I'm wishing everyone a lot of good luck. And if you're back already, I will pass back over to you.
Thank you. So actually, yeah, now we can start it. I will talk about Python 3.10. I'm not sure if you are aware, but it was released in 4th of October of this year. And it's a very interesting Python release because it included things like beta error messages, different things for typing, the latest ones. And the best thing that actually I thought it included is pattern matching. So I will go over this kind of feature with you today. So Python 3.10. A lot of things were said about Python 3.10, but the one that I found more interesting was pattern matching. That's what I'm going to share with you today. So I will give you a basics, what is pattern matching and how you can use it. A little bit about me. My name is Laísa. I am Laísa Ochoa. You can find my GitHub here, and I have been backend developer in Munich for about 3 years, and I have been working with Python for about 4 years. I have been participating in a lot of Python communities, including PyLadies Munich, PyCon Odessa, and PyCon Web here in Munich. I really like dystopian books, tea, and Carnival because I'm from Brazil, so I like Carnival. A little bit about what we're going to be talking today. One thing is we're going to go over what's Python 3.10. We're also going to talk about happened with Python 3.10. People are talking about. They are talking their Twitter accounts, and I found it interesting just to follow out what's the people opinion. So this person here, Alton Shaw, he was talking about how he liked the better error messages. One thing that was added in Python 3.10, it was kind of once that you do like mistakes in Python. Before it was quite hard to find it, where was the mistake and the reason why this mistake happened. But in Python 3.10, the new way is like kind of giving you hints where the mistake is and also like suggestions. So it's quite, it feels smarter also the latest version of Python, and it's more, for me, more friendly for beginners, because in the beginning, you don't know exactly what the syntax error means or how it could be fixed. So it takes some time to find out, but with this error message, it's kind of take you in your hand and guide you where you should be fixing. One interesting thing is that Python 3.10 was released in 4th of October, so we are already about some days ahead, and still not so many packages from PyPy have been updated for the latest version. So a lot of people are trying to look for the Circus images and update it right now. And as you all know, right now it's happening the Hacktoberfest, which is when you contributed to open source softwares, and in exchange to that, you get a t-shirt. So as a tip, if a project is in PyPy, you can find all the projects here, pyreadiness.org 3.10. If a project in PyPy there and you want to contribute and update to the latest version, I think this is the time, and you can end up maybe participating in the Hacktoberfest and getting the t-shirt. So it's also interesting that so many of the projects, like about 90%, are not updated yet. So go ahead and check it out. Breaking chains. Yes, it does break. It's not like just you're going to click it there and it's going to be updating. No. Why? Because the latest Python was Python 3.9.7, and this one is Python 3.10, which makes 2 minor versions be updated, so 2 digits of minor versions. But this is actually a lot, and you can find incompatibility. Although the core developers, they really try to keep all the compatibilities between the versions, but there is always like a package that will differ in future version. And I guess everyone kind of have this feeling when you are updating from one version to another. There was also a party. So it was really a special release of Python 3.10 because this was one of the reasons is that now there are people who actually are hired for the Python Software Foundation to be the Python core developers. So people who are actually working 100% of their time in the Python environment. So not only has a maintainer in their free time, but has really a full-time job. So that's quite nice. And another thing that is also nice is that they had a party between the core developers to discuss what was released and just what is the release process. Not everyone is participating like in release process. So it's quite interesting to see how the cycle of release happens in a software, and especially for a software like Python, which is used by many people. So I found it interesting, and you can check it out because it's recorded, and they also go in deep of how the development was it. Everything that I'll be talking today was based in the official documentation for Python. You can find it under this link. And you can also find tutorials there and more examples. Not here, I will just cover, maybe not in so deep as I wish because of time. So what is new in Python 3.10? There is pattern matching, there is context management with parentheses, better error messages for sure, and type union operator, which also is to make it easier our lives. What people found that interesting. So Pablo Galindo was actually the release manager for Python 3.10, and he asked the people in his Twitter, what do you find interesting? And people find interesting the beta error messages. Has first place. Second place for pattern matching. But I never choose the favorite, so I actually like more pattern matching. That's what we're gonna talk today. So is there pattern matching in Python already before Python 3.10? Yes, there was some sort of primitive pattern match that you can find it when you sign variables. For example, in this case, Python is smart enough to link that the x is related to 1 and y will be signed to 2. So it is some sort of pattern matching under the hood. But if you come from different languages like Rust, C, they all have some sort of pattern match already. Rust has pattern match specifically. C has the switch statements, and it's sort of the same idea. Another thing that already has a pattern match that you can try to get the feeling is when you have the try and accept in Python. So you can try something, and if it doesn't work, you can accept. And in these exceptions, you can kind of match with a specific exception that you want to match. So, for example, here I try something, and then I go to the accept, and it's like, I like your exception, and the other one would be, you are being exceptional, and so on. So there's some sort of matching already statements. But what is it pattern matching in computer science in general? So in these cases, it can have different meanings, but in case of Python and in this implementation, it basically is, it will or not be a match. So it's not a case that you can find many matches at the same time. Under the match statement, you only find one that will fit to your match. And if it's not, then it will return none. It's different from, for example, pattern recognition, because in pattern recognition, it's kind of, you see what's the percentage of what is matching. So maybe an image is matching 90%, then you say, okay, this is a match. But it's not 100%. So it's not a binary way of matching. And it's also not like a dating app, because, for example, if you are in a dating app, sometimes you are matching with a lot of people, but it does not mean that you're going to find your match. So actually, Python is better on that way. Yeah, when you work in software development and kind of you go over interviews, and I have seen also people interview each other, and one of the questions that pops up is that, do you play video game? I'm not so sure why people think the software developers are always like in the free time playing video games. And they have this idea that someone like me would have a setup like this and play video game at home, which is not true. I don't know how to play video games except for Mario Bros. But yeah, today we're gonna use some sort of game to explain pattern matching. So I decided to use a very simple game because I believe everyone here has been a kid at some point, or maybe you have a kid, I don't know. There is a game like this that you get an element and you go in this wood box and you try to match this element in this box until you find a match. It will not fit in any other place besides the one that was related to that element, a specific form. So here I just put it one simple way, like the syntax, how it's written, a pattern match in this case. So let's suppose we have form has a triangle, and we're gonna match this form. So what I'm going to do is to take this string triangle and goes case by case and do a sort of equals statements and check whether this is true or not. So in this case, it will only get a match when it finds exactly the same string, which is triangle. And then it will do something, some action. This action in this case is to print. So it will print triangle. That's it. Pattern matching, the basics is that. And from this, you can already start putting this in your code. Why? Because pattern matching is kind of a if and else statement. It would be the same if you try to do like, yeah, if circle is equals triangle or is equals to form, and you go over these statements until you go to the end. Here I just put, for your information, how is the syntax in terms of just like ideas. So you have a match. In this match, you have a subject. The subject, you go case by case, comparing the subject to certain partner. And if the statement is true, you're going to execute blocks. So if you go over until you exhausted your kind of your options. If you don't find anything to be true, it will return none. But yeah, in this case, that's basically how you would think about it. So you go over. One thing to keep it in mind when you are working with pattern matching, not only in Python, but in other languages, you should never put the broadest case in the beginning, because it's like you open up this box and anything can go inside. So you always put from the most specific to the broadest. So it's kind of, you think like in a pyramid or like a triangle. So you go from the most specific case until the broadest one. And here in Python, we do have the so-called wildcard, which is this underscore. And this wildcard, it means kind of the broadest case. So if nothing else works, what else should be done? So you can use the wildcard to this in this way. And it does not allow actually you put in the beginning, because yeah, you will not reach the other partners. And it's the same kind of mindset, the same kind of way you should be thinking when you write any sort of matching, pattern matching. You have to always go from the most specific one to the broadest one. So you can have actually, so it actually can make sense, to make logic, right? Otherwise, you're gonna end up, yeah, putting things in the wrong place. With or without it. So there will be discussions like if you should do it, if you should use this new function or not, or should you just try to do ify, elify, and so on. But here I just put a simple example to you to see how it will make the code more readable, which is actually like, if you compare the way you do with pattern matching and the way you would have to do without pattern matching. Without pattern matching, it could be easier to make a mistake and also harder for someone to read your code. Not only that, but it also repeats things. So in this case, in this particular case, that you can see it here, I can receive an element of a string and I can go over in different cases. One interesting thing here is that, for example, there is a new way to do things. If you have a second element, you can kind of bind this element to a variable that you don't know yet, like what's the value. But I can already see here, okay, whatever is in the second element, I want to reuse it here. So it's quite cool, this. And if you have to do this without the pattern match, you will have to access the element in the string and check what is there. And actually, you also have to create this element here to be used. So I think it's just like harder to follow. And in this case, you really can take advantage of the fact that pattern matches allows you to bind elements and just reuse them in your match statement and so on. And for example, here you can also see the wildcard. So for me, in this case, this first code is more clean than the second one. And it's just like, I think also easier to write. I took a look, whatever is faster. Is it faster with the match? Is it faster without the match? I found out that with the match, it's faster. So if you are wondering that, you can also try out with the IPython and using this function %time_it, which will give you some average of time for your function. I normally do this for some small code, but yeah, it's interesting that it's actually faster. Not only more readable, but faster. I tried also with the wildcard, like this one will not match anything, so it has to go over all the statement. And again, I conclude that it's faster. It's much faster with the match, using the match. So what else is out there about pattern matching? Another thing that is interesting is that the fact that you can just, for example, here, you don't need to do the equal statement. So you can just put the variable that you want to match or the value that you want to match, and it will match for you. So if you want to do this with the if and else, you would have to use the equals statement. And that's quite interesting that you can also do that with objects, like with classes. And so it used behind the scenes the is instance. And if here I put as an integer, but you can also use it as a true, a false, and so on. It will work the same way. The only difference here is that if you use case true, here in the if, it would be equivalent if this number is true, for example. But in this case, to be honest, I actually like more with the if and if else statement, because I just like the fact that it's explicit you are using the equals statement. But I don't mind to use also the match ones here. I think both of them looks good. Here is one of the things called guard. So guards are basically if expressions that you can do conditional expressions inside your case. So it's quite interesting how the pattern matching in Python can grow so many ways. And one of the ways is that you can use conditional. And here, for example, I am matching whatever is in the elements, but I'm also checking some other variable that is in the program, for example, size. And this match will be conditional to actually two things. Is it matching with triangle? And is also size lower or equals to 10, for example. So this is basically what guard means, this expression, in case pattern matching. Composable. This is the strongest feature of pattern matching. All of the matches, they are composable, which means that you can compose one match inside the other. And I'll give an example from the game itself. So let's suppose here we have different size, top, bottom, right, left. Actually, let's not suppose, we do have different size. And let's suppose that someone's gonna try to store an element in certain direction. So how can you think about that with pattern matching? Actually, you can see that all these 4 directions, they are possible. So you don't know which one the person will be using, but you can already specify with the pipe, using the pipe, different patterns that this can be matched. So in this case, I will accept that the elements in this list will match if the first element in the list is a direction, and also if the second element is any one of this. So it's quite cool that we can do this kind of composable partner. Inside the partner, you put another partner, and so on. And you can see how easily can get more interesting. You can go out from the basics and just grow this logic. And I think it's really worth to take it a look and try out, because these things normally takes a bit time to grasp. But in this case, you're going to be using, for composable partners, what you will need is the pipe element with this one, and just try to check, do the composable with it. So it's quite interesting. Another thing is that you can match objects. So you can, here, for example, I have an instance of, I have a class circle, and I have an element of circle which has some characteristics, a color pink and a radius of 10. And I can take this element and I can match with this element. In this case, under the hood, what Python is doing is to take this element and apply here, is this an instance of circle? Yes or not, and then you're gonna match. And interesting thing, you can actually specify the attributes here and specify the values. And again, you can grow this to something more complex by using a guard expression here and doing your match. So it's very interesting this, because here, in the normal Python before Python 3.10, you would think that this is to instantiate an object. But if you are using a match, it has the value, like the understand that is actually comparing. And inside, you can put all the specifications that you want. Just for you to know, you don't need to specify all the attributes. You can specify some and let the authors lose. It also supports that. So if you're working in web development in your normal day, you must be using a lot of JSON with a lot of dictionary and nested dictionary and dictionaries at the dictionary and so on. So it's quite interesting. You can use pattern matching with dictionaries as well. Maybe it will make your life easier. Let's see. But you can just, for example, I just put a very simple example just for you to understand how the pattern match is being used with dictionary. But here I have a dictionary with year and location. And here I will use this, I will match this information, this dictionary, with some cases. And the first case is the year, which is actually wrong. It's next year, almost there. And it will not gonna print nothing here. And then we go to the next case, which is location Munich, and it will print it. And you can see it here that actually, in these cases, I didn't need to specify all the keys. I only specified the key and the value that I wanted to check there. And the other ones will be kind of loose. So if you want match, it will automatically, it will go in the first one already, just for you to see. So this characteristic of this dictionary pattern matching that is kind of loose can give you this kind of behavior, which was for me a bit surprising. I was testing the Python 3.10 in the RC version, and this was happening. I was matching with empty dictionary, and the dictionary actually had keys and had values, and still it was matching. Why? Because of this characteristic of leaving kind of this loose ability. And what happens is that this dictionary in the beginning, it will, when it will be checking the match, it will automatically check first, is it an instance of a dictionary? Yes, printed. So if you didn't specify anything, it means that it is a match. And it's not the same for tuple, for example. In tuple, here, you have to specify all the values there, and it will not match to an empty tuple. But this will happen with dictionary, and also will happen with when you're matching objects of a class, because of this ability to leave things a bit loose, as I explained it before. And actually, I put it in my Twitter. I got some answer for some people explaining, and if you want to check, I think you can also go there and check, because there are more explanations. So final thoughts on that. Yeah, it will be, I think it will be a process for people to get used to using pattern matching, but I think really it's worth it to give it a try and to start using, because it allows you to think about programming in a different way, in a more like more clean way in my understanding. And actually, this is one thing that Python added now, but it has been present for the past 20 years. And other program languages are taking advantage of that. And in Python, it was actually a reflection of all those languages to bring the best of them, the best of what pattern matching is doing there, and people like to use there, to Python. So you can, I also found it interesting that Python is just like getting better in this sense. But you always be, I think you're always going to have discussions about if else, not, pattern matching, and so on, especially in code reviews. But I would say try out and see whatever works for you and whatever is actually compiling and working. I want to say thank you. If you have more questions about it, I'll be happy to answer you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Really interesting look into the pattern matching for Python 3.10. I'm excited to get that into some code. I know a few folks were saying in the chat that it might be a while before they can upgrade their projects to take full advantage of this, but it's really good to know that it's available. We had a question asking, do you know what the PEP guidelines for the switch statement or for the pattern matching are? Could you touch on that?
Yes, I know it. I think it's called PEP 363. But if you go to the official documentation, there is a tutorial, with the name of this PEP, that will help you to go over all the features.
Fantastic. And another question we had was, can we do list pattern matching in a switch statement like this?
In switch statement, we don't have switch in Python, so I think he's referring to C. Can you do list pattern matching in switch? Are you referring to C? Because I don't think you can do pattern matching there. But if you're talking about different languages like Rust, I think Haskell also has it, and Rub. I'm not super aware, but in Rust you can.
Maybe we can answer that then in the chat after after this. We also have someone saying like, great presentation, thank you so much. I personally really enjoyed it. Folks are really looking forwards to having a go at looking into pattern matching and starting to use this. I'm not sure if this was a question or a statement, but someone was saying, so the wildcard is essentially like a default. Is that correct?
The wildcard would be like if didn't match anything, then you can use the wildcard to specify something else that you want to do with it. If you don't use the wildcard, your output would be none. So you have to decide whether you want to use that or not. It depends of the application.
Fantastic. And have you already thought of an application or a piece of code where you want to add this in yourself?
I have thought about just contributing to some open source projects which are using if-else statement and try out to see if pattern matching would bring some improvement in the speed and also just readable. But I have been using the Python 3.10 to some personal challenge and just to get a feeling about the features and what was not working before and still working.
Fantastic. Great. Well, thank you so much for a very enlightening talk and sharing this with us. I look forward, like I said, to having a go at this. The next speaker that we have up is Ty. So I'm just going to add Ty to the stream. And I will also add Ty's slides. I think, Ty, if you are there and you can hear me, you should be free to speak.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Fantastic. Yeah, I can hear you. So maybe you want to put the slides into present mode, and then I think we're good to go. All right. Yeah. So really excited for your presentation. I love the project. If folks are not already following it on Instagram and Twitter, please go ahead and do it. You get to learn something new every day. It is really awesome. And I will hand over to you, Ty.
Thank you very much. With such a mentor, yeah, I just have to thank PyLadies community for helping me putting this project online. That was really great. And yeah, so my name is Tailinhares. I'm here to present you my newest project named After Man, that has as a goal to reflect about these connections between sciences and colonialism. And I couldn't do this without, first of all, explaining you what are my motivations to start this project. So some years ago, I started to ask myself who I am. And yes, it can really, believe me, it can be even more difficult to answer this question if you come from a former colonized country, as I do. I come from Brazil. And it can be even worse if you have indigenous or African origins, because your ancestors probably left no records, except, of course, for birth and death certificates. To be very optimistic about it. So some years ago, I made a documentary film called Parda that reflects on racial issues in Brazil. And since last year, I started to think about the lack of data and visual representations of my people. So yes, let's take a look at these pictures. The first one, in the left, that's me in the middle of the forest, in a place where I come from. It's a town called Magé. It is 2 hours from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. And it is in the middle of the Parque Nacional Serra dos Órgãos, this national park organs range. And this is what you can see here at the opposite side. Yes, these mountains, I must admit, I feel very emotional when I look at them, because I grew up looking at this landscape. And it is also how can I say, biodiversity hotspot. Yeah, this place. So yeah, since at least since the 19th century, there were many scientific expeditions in this area to find out discovery new plants or animals and so on. And here in the middle, this painting has been made in one of these scientific expeditions. And the painter that have made this painter is a German artist called Rugendas. And he painted it in 1820, that is 200 years ago. And yes, it was during, he was invited to be scientific illustrator during an expedition that had as a goal to explore the interior of Brazil. So yes, this is the context of this painting. And in the background of this painting, you can see the Serra dos Órgãos, the same as in the right picture that I showed you. And in the foreground, you see depicted enslaved people transporting gold in horses. And this might be the first visual representation of my people. So when I think about this, I actually very, very quickly came to the conclusion that there is no solution for this representation problem, because there is no data or visual representations, paintings, photos from this time that had been made about my people and by us. So yeah, what to do? However, I found it really interesting, the possibility of exploring other types of records that have been generated, made in these encounters between my people, the landscapes that I'm familiar with, and these European scientists. And so my approach in this project was to use natural histories to reconstruct a colonial past. And this is what Named After Man is all about. So I started to be very interested and puzzled about plants and their names, and also plant taxonomy. And this is one part that is very important for this project that's called Named After Man. That is the binomial system for named plants. So since the 1800s, the 18th century, there is a standardized way for naming species in biology. It is called the binomial system and had been created by a Swedish scientist called Carolus Linnaeus. And some of the features of this way of naming is that the names are unique. They are written in Latin, and also these names they have two parts. They are binomial, and being the first part, what is called genus, that is a category from which the species belong to which the species belong to. And the second part is called the specific epithet. And this part can be freely chosen. And for this part, being freely chosen, you can theoretically give any name you want to a species. And it is very common that people, scientists, give persons' names to their discoveries. So yeah, they can name it after a scientist, but yeah, not only after a scientist, but also after a relative or even a donor. And that is something that I found very interesting because it is actually so emotional to name plants after people you like or you admire. And at the same time, this goes completely against the scientific claim for objectivity. And why am I so interested about plants that have male names? So yeah, the first thing is that men were more involved, more active in the colonial entrepreneurship. And on the other hand, yeah, at that time there were not many women botanists. And I believe that their efforts should be acknowledged. And lastly, well, men like men and men honor men. So yeah, let's take a look at this name, for example. From this name, Sclerophyllax curzi, I can get to the conclusion that this species has been named after a male person that is called Kurz. And why do I, or how do I know that? Because of this ending, this double I, that is the masculine genitive in Latin, and that means Sclerophyllax from Kurz, or Kurz Sclerophyllax. So very quickly, I noticed that it would be very simple to query botanical databases searching for these names of species that have been named after man. So only to summarize to here, so I had a research question that was, what stories do plants named after man want to tell us? The method that I have chosen was to post one plant a day on Twitter and on a website. And these posts, they would come with some contextual information, such as when this plant has been first cataloged, who these plants are named after, and also where these plants are native to. And the goal of this project was to reflect on the connections between sciences and colonialism. Yeah, now, yeah, the work in itself. So I started with data collection, and my data collection process had 3 pillars. The first one being a botanical database called Stratfire.io, from which the ground for my data set comes from. And unfortunately, this database has been discontinued in May. So yeah, sorry. And then I use the Royal Botanic Gardens Kew data service. They have a Python library for that is called PyQ. And with this library, I have found the geographical distribution from the plants. And third, Wikipedia API. With the Wikipedia API, I could find the Wikipedia pages for the plants and also for the botanists. So during the whole process, I had made some design decisions to build my data set. The first decision was that I was not only considering the scientific name of this species, but also the synonyms. While synonyms are not accepted names, usually because the plants that they try to name have already been cataloged. But in this case, they will count as failed attempts to honor a person. Yeah, the second point was that I was only considering plants with this suffix "-i". Although I know that there are some other ways of using the Latin grammar to honor people in plant names, and I can give you some examples later if you like. Yeah, third, I only consider plants that have pictures because of the visual art scope of this project. And lastly, I'm only keeping in my dataset plants that honor male botanists. And yes, how do I define male botanists? Well, I took two lists from Wikipedia, one list for botanists and one list for women botanists. And I took the women botanists from the list of botanists. And after that, I manually cleaned this list, trying to exclude any false positive. Good. So in the end, I have 1,026 plants that I will post every day, or I have already started on 1st of October. And it will be enough to post for almost 3 years. So, and yeah, next was to build the bot that would post daily this content. And I won't go very deep into it because yes, the code is on GitHub, so you can take a look at this there. I'll just give you an idea of what it does, and it basically gets a plant from my data set, my database, and it formats these different posts, one for Twitter and one for my WordPress website, and then it posts on Twitter and on WordPress. So it has some interesting features, such as it controls for tweet text length, and also, yeah, it uses some attributes for that, and it also posts image placeholder in case the image source fails. And the most important for me is that it emails me in case the code throws an exception. So yeah, in the end, we have these channels for the project. That is the website here in the middle, where we have daily posts. Each post has a picture and a text that is written in first person, as though the plant was introducing itself. And yes, in this short text, it says its name, the synonyms, and when it was first cataloged. There's also links for the Wikipedia pages for the plant and also for the botanists that this plant pay homage to. And we also have this tag cloud, a tag cloud for geographical regions where these plants come from. So with this tag cloud, you can have an idea of what are the regions in the world that are more represented in our data sets. And also there is a calendar where you can see which plant was posted in each one of the days. Besides also some articles explaining the ideas behind the project itself. Yeah. Secondly, we have my Twitter account where I post every day. So if you want to see the plant of the day, then just follow me there. And also we have 2 Instagram accounts, one for the project updates that is named after man. And in this account, I also post some things that I end up discovering during this process. That's really interesting because yes, as it is automated, I end up learning things or things that I really didn't know. I don't know the whole data set, but yeah, so by looking at the links that I provide in the project, I can also find out some stories that I think are worth to share with you. So this is what I do in this Instagram account called Named After Man. And the second one is some kind of creative space named by us. So in this account, we try to find names for new plant discoveries. So yeah, that's it. If you want, you can find me on social media. You can also send me an email with questions, or yeah, if you want to contribute in any sense, I'm there. And yeah, if we have more time, I can also show you some of my discoveries. And yeah, I would be very glad to have some questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ty, for your talk. That was really, really cool. And I think we have some comments. This is super interesting talk. Jürgen is more into mushrooms, but the taxonomic system is the same. And someone also mentioned that, yeah, 3 names. Okay, that's so also interesting. And okay, how are newly discovered plants named today? Is there still a gender bias?
Yeah, for sure, still. And this is very interesting. Also, this is something that I would like to research a little bit more, because there is a code for naming plants that's called the Shenzhen code. And yeah, one example is that in this code, there's no guideline, for example, to name plants after non-binary people. So yeah, it's really, yeah, there is a male way of using the Latin language, and yeah, the male one. Although I think, yeah, Latin has also gender neutral. So yes, I really don't know exactly how it works, but yeah, that's really complicated. I think they haven't thought a lot about that still.
Okay. I have a question. Do you see some way that this can be avoided? It can do better in the future. So these plants are starting to have different names, more inclusive. Yeah, and I don't know if you have opinion about what is already there, if it can be changed or should it be changed or not.
Yes, yes, I'm sure that there are better ways of doing this, and also better people to be honored with these plant names. For example, people who really were important for the conservation of these plants, indigenous people, indigenous groups. So there is already something happening. I have seen. I have written an article about a student that named some plants after important indigenous leaderships in Brazil. So yeah, I'm really optimistic about this. I think this is the right moment to start questioning and also trying to find new ways of doing the
And
same.
there was also an interesting question. No, this one I found interesting. Will be there named after woman's sister channel? That would be also nice, right?
Yes, why not? Let's see. But yeah, I think the project has this goal of trying to find the stories, and yes, this link to colonialism, I think it's very important. So I think when we make the named after women, it will be to celebrate them, no, and not to question the situation.
There's another question on what is the ratio of plants named after men versus those named after women? I think
Yeah,
in Latin. Yeah.
that's something important to mention. My data set is not representative, and yes, it's biased, as I have shown you that, yeah, for example, I just consider plants that have pictures, or yeah, there are some aspects that made impossible to make this kind of comparison. And I haven't tried it as well. So it would be interesting, for example, to develop a way of taking these different groups and comparing the whole data set. And yeah, unfortunately, the Stratfire database was discontinued because the good part in it is that it just brought information from different sources. And when I use, for example, the Q data service, I just have plants that are cataloged in Q. So yeah, I don't have a real whole data set of all plants that exist.
Okay, cool. One question from us was also on, so yeah, there's a comment about, so Jürgen's friend named the plant after his daughter. So there is hope. And one question is, what reactions did you receive from your survey, from your project? Did you receive any negative reactions?
Not yet. Not yet. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, I think we're there, so we have to be open also for critiques. But till now, it has been so interesting because yeah, there are so many people that feel challenged by this conversation. And yeah, this week I had also contact with people from the from botanical sciences, and there are also some people that are interested in the topic. So I'm really looking forward to continuing this discussion with different people, also technical people, and yeah, people from arts and people from biology. That's really amazing.
Cool. So the last question before we head into break is, do you use Python or R for data analysis?
Python. Yeah, so Python, yeah, in all the steps. So
yeah. The only possible answer today at this. No, I'm kidding. Okay, cool. Okay, so we have break until 1945. Tai, thank you again for joining us on this event, and stay with us. You can all reach her on all the channels.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope that you have had a good short break, got yourself some water or something else to drink. We've got a great second half for you. Just a reminder that we do have a raffle going on. The link for it should be in the chat. You can sign up there, give your nickname and a way to contact you. We have some great prizes, including lots of books, licenses for JetBrains, and also some €25 vouchers. So, you have to be in it to win it. So sign yourself up. And kicking off the second half is myself. So I will hand over to myself in the talking mode, and I will be speaking about mindful goal setting. Do you see me okay? Someone give me a thumbs up. I'm seeing a shaking of her head from Teresa. Yeah? Okay. Perfect. All right. So kicking off, mindful goal setting. Well, first, I'm just going to okay. Sorry, I'm saying some people are seeing a black screen. Do you at least see my slides? If so, I will continue speaking. If you don't see the slides, I will stop. Any better? I also do not hear you, unfortunately.
So I can see you. Yeah, I was muted. Can you give a feedback if you can see us? You
Yeah.
Cannot, I will hear from the people. Not yet. Black screen, no slides. What's happening? Let's try.
Let me try reshare. I'll stop screen sharing, and I will reshare the window, and then we can try add that back to the screen. I'm not too fussed if you folks can't see me. That's probably better for you, but I would like you to see the slides.
Can you go ahead with one slide?
Yeah, I should be showing one slide now. For me, I see that I am, but if you folks don't see it, then we may need to go to another speaker.
Oh, someone said yes, we can see.
So, slides are on. Okay.
Let's move.
Right, let's do it. So you'll just have to bear without seeing my face, I guess, but that's no big problem. So great. You can see who I am in this picture, and I think you've already seen enough of me already. So I'm Jessica Green. I use she, her pronouns. I am a software engineer at ecosia.org, which, if you haven't heard of it, is the search engine that plants trees. You should definitely check us out. And you'll find me on the web at Sleepy Pioneer. And why do I want to talk about mindful goal setting? Well, I'm actually just celebrating my 3-year anniversary at Ecosia. This is my first job in tech. I'm a career changer. I previously was a coffee roaster, and before that, I was also working in the film industry. So I'm not new to changing careers and building myself up, but definitely new in tech and trying to figure out kind of where I want to go with this career, what opportunities are open to me. I don't know how everyone else got into the industry, but I know when I was getting in, I felt a lot of kind of being overwhelmed and fear of missing out because there's so much going on and there's so many different branches. I mean, Python itself is used in so many different ways. You can really do anything with it, like go to space or data science or monitor trees with an IoT device. We'll see some cool stuff later from Maria for this. And I came across earlier in the year this app called Melee, which is a really super app. It's actually in beta. It's created by Ultrasonic, who has already been speaking at the PyLadies Berlin event. And it was what introduced me to this idea of doing goal setting in a slightly more mindful way. You can sign up the links here, and I'll also put it in the chat. You can sign up for the waitlist if you would like to try out this software after listening to this presentation. I highly recommend it. And yeah, I want to say huge thanks to Amartola, who is the creator of Meili, who's been a coach to me and a really inspirational person, and helped me start to think about these goals. And also Jenny, who has recently been doing some coaching with me also. I really recommend talking to someone as a coach, even if they're not professionally trained in that, because it really gives you the opportunity to think about what you are aiming for and what goals you have. So what did I hope to achieve from this exercise? Well, as I mentioned, I get very eager for lots of different topics. So I really wanted the opportunity to focus my energy. And I want to get somewhere, like I already have in mind where I want to go with this career, but I also want to get there in a timely fashion. This being my third career, I'm a little bit older, and I'm already thinking, you know, I don't have so much time to like sit around. I want to get there now. Basically, I'm impatient, and I wanted to avoid getting overwhelmed or having this FOMO, like this fear of missing out, and really focus myself and have a record of what I've achieved along the way. Pre-warning to all of this, though, is this is what worked for me. And I have found it very successful, but this might not be the best solution for you. I'm sharing this today in the hope that you'll find it kind of interesting and potentially find something from this that you can take home and work for yourself on. But definitely, I'm not saying that this is the only solution to go down. So the first step is thinking mindfully about what your motivation, like where do you want to be? And how do you see that? So for me, when I got into tech, I was really interested in like AI and data science. And one of the things I've been reflecting on is that that is not the path that I ended up going down. I ended up working more in web development, which is super awesome. And I've learned a lot. But I kind of still had this itch of wanting to go into a more data focused field. And the way that I would foresee that is some sort of like machine learning ops, machine learning engineer, data engineer. And of course, having moved from being junior to mid-level, I'd also like to progress towards being a more senior engineer and all of the great things that come with that seniority. So here it is in its full glory. Please be kind. These are my motivations for the future. And I know putting them out there on the internet means now I definitely have to follow through. But I wanted to show you this so that you could get a real idea, a real grasp of how this exercise looks. So really sitting down with yourself and saying, what are the things that I would like to achieve? First in a broad sense. And then I grouped these, as you can see, and kind of put them into different topics. So you'll see down in the top, in the bottom left, there's this group around confidence in technical knowledge. And that's talking a lot about like knowing industry standards, getting more domain knowledge, being comfortable with designing architecture and deploying. And you're probably thinking, yeah, okay, those are things I either know about, which is awesome, or those are things I would like to know more about. They're pretty broad topics. You'll also see here, I put confidence in front of this. And I think for me, that's a big thing, is that I do have a lot of technical knowledge now. And I'm really proud of that. But I also recognize that I lack some confidence. And if you look on the bottom, you'll also see being recognized as a specialist in the field or being perceived as more seniors by others is important to me. So this confidence building is, for me, part of this technical knowledge, but it's like also in its own way, a goal of mine. So after grouping, the next thing you want to do is really break these down into what they call SMART goals. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. And this is something that you can, really then like tick off, so to say. So it is a very specific goal. that you can measure in some way. So potentially that's like a couple of days reading a book a couple of days a week. Like, I mean, I'm talking about professional goals, but I also apply this to more personal goals. I just did not want to share them on the internet. Attainable. So I'm probably not going to go to space unless Elon or Jeff give me a call. Totally open to it though. But the goals that I've set for myself are a little bit more in the realm of what I can actually achieve. Relevant. So they should be relevant to these motivations that I've set myself. And this is one of the great things of, if your goal is not relevant to the motivation of where you want to go, then maybe that is not a goal to focus on right now. And time-based. So saying like, I want to achieve this for the next 6 months, or I want to achieve this by October 2022, for example. And the great thing here is one goal might actually work towards multiple motivations. So something around me being more confident in my own technical ability might also help me achieve this motivation of wanting to support others in the industry. I'm not going to argue with you, Brett, but it's a fair point. So some examples of what my goals are finishing a course and a personal project, implementing those learnings every 6 months. So I just started with a machine learning Zoom camp run by someone here in Berlin, which has been really great. And that I hope will work towards this motivation of building my confidence. And I have another goal, which is a very specific, of wanting by next year to be ML Ops certified, so machine learning operations certified, probably with AWS. And these kind of lean into each other because one of the courses I will do will be training towards that certification. So that's just 2 goals. Of course, I have more, but just for the size of this presentation, I'm moving a little bit quickly. So the next thing you want to do when you have all of these goals is map them out, and kind of then you can get a sense of what kind of timeline you're looking at. And that for me was kind of important because before I started doing this, I had many goals that I was trying to do simultaneously, and that really didn't work out. And this has really helped me in terms of thinking like, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm blocked and I'm just focusing on this goal or these 2 goals, if you have like maybe personal and professional goals, but then I know next year I'm going to get to the next one. And as you can see, I'm putting them out in calendar months. I'm working, because these are professional goals, I'm working essentially with quarters here. That might not be how you want to do it, but I think it's a great way just to kind of have a roadmap essentially of where you want to go and where these goals might build on top of each other. So it's great. You've written out your goals. You've got your roadmap. You're like, I'm good to go. How do you incentivize yourself to do this and to keep yourself accountable? Maybe what you're asking. That's a good question. So one thing that you can do, which I really like, is setting a reward for goal completion. And this is something that the Meili app actually incorporates. And I really like that. So not that I'm purely motivated by my rewards, but it's really nice to have a little celebration after you've completed a goal. Tell others about your plan and get accountability buddies. They might be your work employees, they might be a mentor, they might be a coach. Keep checking back at the plan at regular intervals and see if you're still on track. Maybe your motivation has changed and that's fine, but then maybe the goals that you have are not relevant and you should change them. Maybe you are taking on things or taking on goals that actually don't go towards your motivation and vice versa. You can use this plan also to make decisions for new opportunities. So one thing I have a real problem with is saying no. And it's been really great to use my motivations to see where things are going to bring me forwards in what I want to achieve. And then for certain other things, be like, does this need to be me? Do I really need to take part in this? Is it getting me towards where I want to go? And lastly on the list is making a presentation, declaring them to your community, as I've just done. Not sure I fully recommend that, but there you go. It's out there now. I have to do it. The benefits of mindful goal setting that I've seen so far, personally, it's been a huge sense of achievement and reward when I've completed it, and I really like having those moments of joy and celebration. Secondly, it's given me a lot of clarity on what my focus should be and helped me be less overwhelmed and have this fear of missing out because I know what my track is. Professionally, it's helped me collect my achievements to be able to show my manager when negotiating a wage increase, which has been really useful. And it also helps me inform the manager what direction I want to go in. So last year, when I showcased the goals that I had, my manager then actually came to me with an opportunity within the company I work at to actually go into a more data engineer or data focused role, which has been really fantastic. So never assume that your manager knows what you want or where you're going. Tell them. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope this has been insightful for you, and happy goal setting. And I don't know if you see my video again, but maybe I'm back, not sure. And I think someone will join me. I have to add you on. Sorry, Anna. DJing and presentating. It's a little bit too much at once.
That's a lot of multitasking for you. Yeah, hi. So I'm Johanna from PyLadies Karlsruhe. Thank you for your interesting talk, Jessica. It's a really interesting topic to me as well, a topic I've been thinking about a lot. And I wanted to ask you, since when have you started to focus specifically like on this topic of goal setting, and what's your kind of bottom line? How well does it work for you? I mean, you've tapped into it a bit, but maybe you could say a couple more words.
Yeah, I think for me, being a career changer, and when I first got into tech, it was something that I started to think about already. Because I was like self-learned or self-taught / community taught, I did have to organize a lot of the goals for myself at that point. But as I've kind of progressed into in this field, I've kind of realized more and more how important that is for me, because I kind of do have this concept in my mind already about where I want to go with my profession. So yeah, it's been ongoing.
Great. I am just wondering if there's a question. Yes. So Brett said, I struggle with the flexibility to pivot, and that overwhelms me. So I just have the list and no timeline. Was great. Thanks. So seems that your talk gave some motivation for others, or some thought points.
And I have to agree with Brett on that point of like, at first I started with a list. Like last year I just had these goals listed, and then I kind of got overwhelmed of like, I kept adding things to the list and not being very realistic with the time. So the timeline for me or the roadmaps really helped.
Yeah, I know that problem as well. Just taking on too many things at once, and then, yeah. There's another question by Susanne. Where are you on your journey, and has everything gone how you planned it initially?
So I'm 3 years into my job. I started as an intern, moved up to junior and then mid-level engineer. I would say things have gone fantastically. I'm super happy. I feel incredibly grateful and fortunate, mainly also for the great community that's really supported me, PyLadies. And is it all going as I planned it initially? Not really, but I don't know if I had such great expectations initially. So.
All right. I think that's a wrap. Thank you for your talk. It was really interesting.
Thank you.
And as far as I know, up next is Maria with a talk on a gentle overview of DIY projects with Python. So I think there she is. Welcome, Maria, and I hand over to you.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you
awesome.
at least.
Yay, thank you so much. Well, first of all, I'm super excited to be here today, and I am super impressed of all the difference and diversity on topics of this evening, and I am enjoying a lot. Thank you so much for organizing that. Well, let's start with my talk. Well, today we're gonna talk about do-it-yourself projects with Python. Sorry. Well, my name is Maria Jose. I work as a data scientist at Inform, and even I do really cool projects in data science. I do other things in my free time. In my free time, I enjoy doing these building projects by my own, using microcontrollers, IoT, and kind of explore other fields. And that is the reason why I started to do my side projects. And also, another motivation was that I wanted to help people to go into also Python and other fields, and also at the same time, I wanted to help my friends and also have an easier life. It was a bunch of combinations that motivated me to start with this hobby. Well, usually I like to do a longer or more in deep introduction into electronics and Python, because someone can think, okay, well, I am not from this field, or I am not confident enough with electronics or with Python or with both, or both of them are new, whatever. But today, don't worry at all, because this talk will be kind of informative, for sharing, for just look what I did, and you're gonna find that I did and prepared something to do it easier, start in this world. But I would like also introduce just a couple of concepts that you can be familiar and follow the talk. First are the microcontrollers boards, and here we have different types of microcontrollers. As you can see, there are different shapes, size. There is a lot of variability, a lot of diversity also in the microcontrollers world. And also, why Python? Because someone can think, oh, well, but I was familiar with microcontrollers, but with other programming language, Arduino, but why Python? Well, my main reason is because Python is everywhere. For me, it was easy to do the way, or do the transition from writing Python code and programming microcontrollers with Python. And also the great community. And this is something that for me is super important. And someone can think, okay, well, but can I write directly my Python code as it is in my IDE or whatever I use, or I wrote my Python code? Well, not exactly. It's a variation of Python. In this case, we have MicroPython. That was the first variation of Python for microcontrollers. And then appeared Circuit Python, that was a fork from MicroPython that was done for Adafruit, that is an open source hardware and software company trying kind of simplify the abstraction. Just only that for today. We could spend hours just with these 3 slides that I show you, but I wanted to show a lot of things, as I mentioned before. Well, starting a new project in doing yourself could be really overwhelming, because it's not only electronics, as I mentioned before, it's not only Python. You need to have control of a lot of things. And sometimes it's like, okay, how should I start, or what I should, or where I can buy, or what I can buy, or what is important, what is not. For that reason, some time ago, I decided to start writing some tutorials from my projects to try to help other people to motivate to start their own path of or their own do-it-yourself projects. And here we have. I rebuilt my own personal website that I created like 4 years ago, but I never use it until now that I decided to create a blog where I am doing tutorials with the different projects that I built or I am building. It's still work in progress. It's still a lot of work to do, but I needed to start it. For instance, what can we find? I am gonna show you some spoilers that we are gonna see later, but you can find all the explanations, the links to the GitHub account, images, materials, recommendations, what tips, things that you need to consider, some videos, a bit of all. Hopefully this will be useful for you and you are gonna be motivated to start your own projects. And also I'm gonna try to tag the different tutorials, giving the information if it's motivational, it's just an opinion from my side, if it's beginner friendly, if you need maybe soldering or something like that, then you can choose what to do. Yeah, that is one of the things that I wanted to show you today, that now you can go and see how I build the projects. And now we are going to go for some of the projects. Well, first, some wearables and IoT. When I knew about this event, I get so motivated and so enthusiastic with the idea. And the first thing that I thought is, say, okay, I have some wearable project that is there, but I need kind of a bit of motivation to do it with IoT. I bought also this T-shirt in honor of Ada, and I started to create something. And then one day I did my trials with the camera, screens, lights, and I realized that it was not a good idea. You're gonna see why in a second. Sorry. Now, well, I did directly the spoiler. I wanted to show you first. This is a PyPortal. One of the things is that probably you cannot see the screen or what is in the screen display because I have light and then cameras, light, the screens, this kind of things. Then, well, I stop it. And then now I just have this kind of screen that I am sharing with you. But the idea was to create a budget like the typical conference information that you can show the people if you want to talk, or who is your pronouns, your name, these kind of things, and also other cool stuff. But I'm gonna keep it the second part just in case that we can meet in person and in other conferences, and you're gonna see it. But for now, I want to show you. I did a video with just with the first idea to show you what was the thing. This is the microcontroller and has this touch effect that you can change the screen. But it's really nice because you can display whatever you want. And also it's IoT. This means that it has Wi-Fi connection and you can display things from internet, and well, you can, it's a full wall of opportunities. And in here, it's this microcontroller with a screen that you can see in case that you are curious what we have. We can have the SD card, we have speakers, you have some sensors. It's really cool. It's really cool and has a lot of potential. But well, that kind of failure introduction that I am doing, but well, I wanted anyway to share it with you because the idea was quite cool And anyway, I wanted to share it. Okay, let's start with, let's continue with a solar power watering system. What is the origin of that? Why this started? Well, watering plants is really challenging. And I always tell to my friends that it's not your fault, it's that it's really, really challenging. It's really easy to overwater a plant or just forget that your plant is there because it's not complaining. And for that reason, I started some years ago with some projects that were focusing indoors. One is Plantaris. That was the first project that I could do it yourself. And includes microcontrollers, IoT, a Flask application, a chatbot. There are 2-3 types of watering systems that you can choose, depends of the difficulty. Then from Plantaris came Plantaris Data, where I found necessary to implement almost complete pipeline, machine learning pipeline at home. And mainly I take pictures from my ill plants and also plants deficiency. And also I implement a neural network to try to detect these issues. It's really challenging, this project, but I also learned a lot from my own mistakes, and this helped me a lot also in my professional career, let's say in that way. Then some months ago, I start thinking, okay, well, I want to have lettuce, fresh lettuce, I want to open my window and have just fresh herbs. And I have an apartment that it's south-facing windows, that has a south-face windows. And I thought, why not? Let's do it. And I kind of changed the system. And there was some weeks that there was a lot of sun. What is not so common in Berlin, but this motivated to me to implement a solar powered system. Then I bought some solar panels. I checked first that I could to get the energy from the sun. Really important. Check that always, because if you are not able to do that, just jump in other project. And I thought, okay, well, at least in sunny days, I can use it. Okay, well, I just wanted to show you what are the materials. I tried to do it beginner friendly, minimizing materials and also cost and those things. And then what I use is 2 solar panels. Here we have a microcontroller. In this case, is this Circuit Playground Express. If you're wondering why I am using so many times these microcontrollers, is first because it's like, this is a saga. This is a kind of chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and these kind of things. And for that reason, and also I need to say that I have a kind of nostalgia with this microcontroller because it was my first one. And I have to think also, this microcontroller has a huge potential because it's a playground. There are so many things that you can do with it. But of course, you can change the microcontroller to another if you want, if you don't have this attachment. And of course, it's possible to do it without any problem. Also, we have in here in blue a relay that is a switch on, switch off, a pump in here. This is the sensor of soil moisture, and also we have silicon tubes. That's all. You don't need anything else. I am not going to go deep on that because we are not going to have enough time, but it's important to have in consideration the different sensors and how you measure do the measurements and these kind of things. For that, I should recommend to go to the to the blog and check it. And also, if you have questions or whatever, write to me. I will be more than happy to help there. well, let's see. This is a prototype. Of course, all of that is a prototype. But I wanted to mention how is the connection done. A, that it's in the solar panel in here is connected to B, that it's the pump. This is the B, it's the tank with water. Of course, was really small because I was just trying to see if all that was working. Then I realized that I did a really bad design, but that was too late. And well, anyway, then B, the pump, is connected to the relay that is connected to the microcontroller that is in D. At the same time, we have D connected to E. E is the moisture sensor that is in the soil. And then we have also the silicon tube there that has some holes for all the tube. But you're going to see it now in the next slide. This is a small video that I did. Yay. Yeah, and it's working. What was the best? We need two solar panels because we need 5 volts for the pump, but also we need the energy for the microcontroller. One is for the microcontroller and the other one is for the pump, if you are wondering about that. The thing is working. And also I had my lettuce really fresh every day. Well, not every day because you see that my production was so limited, but yeah, it was working. And I was really happy. I am not going to go in detail with the code because we don't have time. And also it's in the blog, but I just wanted to share with you how is the complexity of this code for this project, because maybe you say, oh, wow, well, okay, I see that it's not super difficult. I saw the materials and I think that maybe I can, but what about the code? The code is quite simple. It's just import some libraries. This is related for the relay, the sensor. This is related to the times of watering and the dry value for the moisture sensor. And then everything needs to be, the action needs to be inside this while true loop. And depends of unit, you are gonna need to write your conditions. But it's quite straightforward. If you're wondering why it's this repository EuroPython in here, right? It's because this code is inside another repository, because I had a talk related with this specific project. It was not a mistake. It's real. It's because I didn't move it yet. Then, new thing, new topic, automating cleaning. Okay, because why disappear? Well, working every day, then needs to clean my apartment. I felt that it was overwhelming. I want to sleep, or I want to write these tutorials, or I want to go for a walk, but I need to clean. And then I thought, okay, I'm gonna try to automate the cleaning thing. And for that, I thought, I can build a robot. Wait, sorry, I have a robot. And then I thought, oh, what have in common all the famous robots? This aspect with these nice eyes, right? I said, okay, let's do it. And I took this sensor to create this aspect, this feeling. No, it's a joke. But what is real is this sensor is, I just wanted to show you this sensor because it's an ultrasonic distance sensor, what is allowed to the robot to detect what is the distance and where is the object to avoid them. Just to have in consideration that this kind of sensors, again, needs to be tested, needs to be known well, and have in consideration that you need to kind of calibrate them. Well, this was my first version because I thought the inspiration of these Hollywood films and I wanted to create that, and then I create this thing that at the beginning was kind of cute, but you're gonna see what we have. In here we have the robot, what is quite huge. My apartment is really small and move in that way the cleaning part. I also added obstacles, as you can see in the floor of my apartment. And honestly, work really good as a robot. But as a cleaner, not it it was not a really good cleaner because needed to be designed a bit different, something more smaller, something with more cleaning surface and this kind of things. But it's something that I learned with the time, and then I decided to go for the version 2, something smaller, something more compact, and something with more mobs, let's say, a bigger mob. Just to show you how simple it is, what are the components. We have the ultrasonic sensor in here. We have a servo motor in here, which allowed us to have this movement of the sensor. And then we have the motor for the wheels. And also, of course, we have the microcontroller there that you cannot see, and also some batteries. But that is all. And just with the small pieces, with not a lot of pieces, you can have it already. And then let's see how this works. Yeah. Of course, I also added different components like a fan there to have more fun with the robot to see. In this case, the cleaning was quite better. And even if you think, well, okay, it doesn't look so efficient, let me tell you that this mop that is super huge was cleaning really well. But I get some embarrassed to show you that. But what happened with the robot, with other robots? Well, sometimes has some issues. With the biggest things are quite good. For the mini robots, sometimes it's like, meh, it's not perfect, but it's nice. And then if you see in here, we have different behavior. In the first behavior, we have this advance stop, advance stop, advance stop. In this second option is just go directly without the stop, and then at some point when detect the object, stop it and measure what is the distance on the right and the left, and then decide based on what we program. I can tell you that at the beginning I thought that this was the most coolest thing, but then I realized that for cleaning, it's quite better that a stop, clean, a stop, clean, and a clean. But it's something that needs to be defined for you, and just like that. That it's the logic. Just share it with you. I am almost done. I just wanted to share it with you what was the logic for this robot. Is activate the motors, check the distance to the right, to the left, stop the motors, check the distance, left, right, and move the lunges distance. That is how I programmed that. I didn't want it to show you in here now all the code, but still it's a bit more complex than the previous one. It's a bit more longer. But it's also available in GitHub. You can check it and you're going to see that it's just that. And if you follow this logic, just with the Python if, else, and these kind of things, you're going to also be able to program your robot. Well, we are in that point to say, well, I am not sure if you are convinced or not. If you want to start your project, let me share a last thing with you. You can create your own memes and GIFs about all your failures. Look, on the bottom is my FAP because yeah, it's like crazy. And also the first version on the live is quite funny. Anyway, it's produced a lot of hours of fun because it's easy to fail, it's easy to do things wrong, and it's okay. And you can just enjoy also from these failures. That is super, super valuable. And yeah, this was all from my side. And if you want to contact me or whatever, just feel free to reach me. Thank you so much.
Maria, thank you so much for your lovely talk. It is absolutely inspiring. I'm pretty sure everyone here is like, how do you do that? We gotta do a workshop and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I will connect a question with Brett's question because at least in my experience with IoT, one of the main challenges is the battery to make things work. So how do you plan your project for the properly battery and also like at the plant? I imagine they need to be waterproof because they're outside. So how do you plan that?
Wow, it's a really good question, and it's a question that we could spend hours also discussing about that. Because, for instance, for the power, the solar powered watering system, you need to have in consideration that okay, it's solar panels. At some point, you are not going to have a sun or not enough energy, and then you need, for instance, to have some storage, or you need to have batteries just in case that the solar panel is not getting energy enough, for instance. And honestly, it's really difficult. I didn't arrive to the point that say, wow, yes, I know that if I have this weather, this condition, then I'm gonna need the batteries for each day. This will be the durance. And there are a lot of people who is investing time just to do this kind of research. One of the things is that the weather is not stable, and then predict that is so tricky. And in here we have a topic that is quite difficult. For the robot, it's another topic. I use it. I don't know if you saw it previously. It was batteries, alkaline batteries. Why? Because it's more beginner friendly. It's not super sustainable, and then you can use the rechargeable ones, but then the life of the energy is lower. Then you can use another kind of batteries like lipo batteries or lithium batteries. There are different type of, and the life of those are also different than the alkaline batteries. Honestly, for the robot, I just use the batteries, and when I see that it's not working properly, because when you have lack of energy, the things start to sound, the electronic kind of sound kind of weird, have a kind of sound, and also the behavior change, and then that this needs to be changed. But answering your question, I don't know how many hours of life has the robot right now, because also depends how many time you keep it running.
And there's this next question coming from the people here with us. Why did you choose a microcontroller? But I will put together two questions. So I guess I will reread this question as, why did you choose to start doing IoT projects? And probably I think you're using MicroPython, which kind of microcontrollers you're using now?
Well, depends of the project. For the ones that I share with you are all in The reason mainly was because the great documentation and the amount of tutorials that Adafruit provide, and this motivated to me to start doing my own project. For that reason, I also decided to write this documentation, because it was something that was super key for me to say, oh, look, if I follow these steps and these things, I can develop my own things. For that reason, I am also doing what other people did for me. It's write this documentation, or be careful with that, or be careful with this situation and this kind of things. What I'm using right now, it's a bit, it's a mix, because I am trying to play with different microcontrollers, and also with others with Raspberry Pi, because depends of the project. What is the goal of your project? My main goal of those projects was to share with first was learning for sure, but second was share with the community. And I wanted to build things beginner friendly, or kind of beginner friendly. For that reason, I chose always a microcontroller that was really easy to connect, that you only need this kind of alligator connector. You don't need to solder or almost in everything. But it's true that at some point you need, or you want to do other kind of projects, or you want to have other versions of the projects, and maybe you need other things. But for now, for instance, for wearable things that I'm gonna show you probably next year with the community, I'm using this microcontroller that is super small, and with a small screen, something really, really small. I am also working with the Raspberry Pi Pico to do other things, and I am just playing around and see what enjoyable projects I can build.
And I guess last question to wrap up. You mentioned that there's a lot of potential in these projects, right? Because they're so cool, and you see this full world of possibilities. But where are the main challenges that you face when you are developing them?
Honestly, one of the worst things is the cable, the USB cable. Please buy a good one. No, it's joke, no joke. First, be sure that you're using the proper USB cable, because at the beginning I have this issue with the USB, because I thought that, I don't know why, all the USB at home were USB cable, and then I tried to connect, and then it was like, why my microcontroller is not working today? Oh, today it's working. And then I realized one day that I was using not the proper cable, or also the cable was dying, and it was just it was like frustrated. Be sure that you are using the proper one and in good conditions. No, but it's more complex than that. There are a lot of things that you need to deal with. And for that reason, I think that it's really nice to start this kind of projects, because it's really easy to fail. And you need to deal with this failure. You say, okay, well, I am not a specialist, maybe in electronics, and this is not working now. I don't know why it's not working. For instance, this kind of situation that then at the end you solve it, because there is internet, there is a community, you can ask always, there is always that it's a friend of a friend that always can give you tips on these kind of things. For that reason, if you are starting a project, you need help, just contact me or whatever, and we can discuss, or if I can help. If not, I can link with other people or pointing you where you can find help.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your talk and for the great documentation that made really all the difference for the community, because we want to do cool stuff too.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So now I bring to stage Teresa, on you.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Wait, I don't know if anybody can hear me. I don't see anything. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Nice. Yeah. Okay. So in order, we've been very cheerful before. Maria's talks are always hard to top. So in order to kind of come back a little bit to reality, we're going to talk about the awful AI today. I am, by the way, also wearing a PyLadies Bangkok t-shirt from Georgie, and I had to wear this also because it's also from Bangkok, from Georgie, whose StreamYard account we are using today. And yeah, so a little bit about me before we, oh, sorry, wrong. Yeah. So my name is Teresa Yovchu. I am a head coach for data science at an official bootcamp. I'm also co-organizer of PyLadies Hamburg and involved in all sorts of other projects. And you can follow me on Twitter at Teresa Eve. And today I'm going to talk about the awful AI. But before we get there, what is AI? I mean, what did we want AI to be, right? So AI was something like once upon a time, all the data we created by humans and their environment was tracked and processed and then used to improve human life, right? Easy. So we've seen this everywhere already, and it's really cool. So weather prediction, just remember like 10 years ago, it wasn't really reliable. Now it's quite good. Even 5 years ago, it wasn't really reliable. Now it's quite good. Better healthcare. We can detect cancer from X-rays, and it's really much better and faster than humans can do it. We have a lot of better and faster tech stuff that is all based with some machine learning somewhere, and we are also really used to that, and it's cool when it's fast and it works. And we also have, well, better search, better recommendation, and all sorts of other applications that are really cool. But on the other side of things, I don't know if anybody went to watch Dune. It's on, or read the books. I recommend you read the books. So there's a famous quote from Dune, which is like a post-apocalyptic book after AI, right? So once men turned their thinking over to machines in the hope that this would set them free, but that only permitted other men with machines to enslave them. So is this what's happening today? So I'm going to I didn't do this research. So this research is done by David Dow, and it's on his GitHub in this project. And I'm going to talk about all sorts of AI that is now rather awful, and it has been or is still in production. And the topics that we're going to talk about are discrimination, disinformation, surveillance, social credit, autonomous weapons, and content warning. It's not really nice stuff, right? So if you want to see only the good part, come back in 20 minutes. Otherwise, stay on. But it's going to be shocking, right? So let's talk about discrimination, right? This is Ada Lovelace Day, so I guess we know maybe some of it, right? So first example, we have, so I'm going to go through a lot of examples, right? So we have the AI-based gaydar. Apparently there were some publications. They actually attempted at identifying if someone is gay or straight based on the photos of their face. Weird, right? Or gender detection from names. So there was this company, Genderify. They had a service that promised to identify someone's gender by analyzing their name, email, or username with the help of AI. Again, not cool. So whenever you hear at work, hey, can we find out the gender of these people based on their names? Not cool, right? Especially because it's really not accurate, right? Just think about in Germany, Eike, right? Everybody's called Eike, men, women. So you can't do that, even in German, right? The pixelizer. This was also quite famous this last year. So this is an algorithm that transforms a low resolution picture into a high resolution picture. And it just turned out that it always transformed people of color into white people. So Obama became this white guy. A lot of people of color, not all black, so just people of color became white people. Yeah. Then you had Twitter crop. So Twitter, whenever you upload a picture on Twitter, it auto-generates a preview for that picture, especially if your picture is a little bit different size. And apparently that picture really liked boobs and didn't like black people. Again, Yeah. So another part is, so basically Google had, this is a little bit older, had an image recognition program that ended up labeling faces of several Black people as gorillas. On the other side, there was this Amazon recognition, which labeled darker skinned women as men 31% of the time, where for women it was only for white women it was only 7% of the time. Also Zoom, like we all use Zoom mostly every day now with the COVID. So Zoom's face recognition and many others struggle to recognize Black faces. I mean, they're getting better, but not there yet, I think. Auto-grading. So this was an algorithm that used to predict grades in the UK, and it was based on the beginning of the semester and historical data. And it turned out to be biased against students from poor backgrounds. Surprise. Or sexist recruiting, same tune. AI-based recruiting tools such as HireVue, Predictive Hire, and even Amazon had an internal software that scans various features such as video or voice data from job and applications and CV. And it turned out that the Amazon one didn't like women. Surprise. So if you had anything like you're participating in women's chess club, whatever, you did not get through the CV filtering at Amazon. They removed the algorithm. Compass, it is still currently used in Wisconsin, but it is a risk assessment algorithm that is used in legal courts in Wisconsin, USA, to predict the risk of recidivism that you are doing. If you did a crime, that you're going to do another crime. And guess what? If you're Black, of course you're going to do more crime according to this, and this is still used. Homeland Security with DataRobot. DataRobot is a company that a lot of companies are using for doing data pipelines and stuff. But together they're doing an algorithm that wants to predict terrorists, if you're a terrorist or not, right? But it's not everything going on in the United States, right? So iBorder control and trespass currently. So iBorder control was in the past, trespass is the new one, are EU-funded projects that are made in order for AI. So they are AI-based polygraphic tests so they want to test and assess the risk for travelers entering the EU. Now, the countries that are involved in this project are Hungary, Greece. They really want to, not get refugees, for example. But and I also discovered, surprise, that in the iBorder control, it's also the institute where I did my PhD was involved. But they didn't get involved in trespass. I was really shocked about this one. I didn't even know. And the only thing saving us from these two things being used in Europe is the legislation that they haven't managed to change. So not allowed. Syrai was an AI-based anti-fraud system used by the Dutch government from 2008 to 2020. It used large amounts of personal data provided by the government to see if an individual was more likely to be a fraud. Now, this was found to be discriminatory and to violate human rights. And besides that, it actually never found a person to be fraudulent that was actually fraudulent, right? So it found people to be fraudulent, but they were not fraudulent, right? So not even working, but used for 12 years in Denmark. Discrimination, right? So continuing, prosecuting ethnic minorities. So persecuting, the typo. Anyway, so Chinese startups have built algorithms that allow the government to automatically track Uyghur people. This technology ends up in products like the AI camera from the company Hikvision, which has marketed a camera that automatically identifies Uyghurs. Now you're thinking, why would anyone build that, right? So let's switch to another topic, disinformation. Cambridge Analytica, we all heard about it, is using Facebook data to change audience behavior for political and commercial causes. So we heard about the elections in the United States and also. But on the other side, something that we maybe are not really aware about is attention engineering. So Facebook notification, who still is using Facebook? So Facebook notification, Snap streaks, YouTube autoplay. These are some of the things that are continuously competing for our attention. So coming back to Jessica's talk, yeah, we do need to set goals, because the whole world is trying to get our attention and we are like using all our energy to fight that. So this is get off social media, one thing. Anyways, so check this TED Talk if you want to see more about that. Now, fake news bots, these are also a thing. They're really harmful. So these are automated accounts that are programmed to spread fake news. Their intent is to manipulate stock markets, elections, and make people choose dangerous healthcare options or not to vaccinate. So there's all the anti-vaxxers. They are like being manipulated, right? Social media propaganda, on the other hand, in the United States, the military is studying and using data-driven social media propaganda to manipulate news feeds to change the perception of people towards military actions. Now, this is really interesting. Deepfakes. Also, they are cute, right? Sometimes they're funny. There's so many cute apps, but in the end, so deepfakes is an AI-based human synthesis technique. It is used to combine and superimpose existing images and videos onto source image and video. So it can use my voice and put it on some other person. That person can talk like me, or my face on the other person, right? Everything is fine until this is used. So it's been used in fake porn to make revenge porn. It's been used to even like in politics, like you can call a person and think you have a talk to another person because you're using a deepfake to use someone's voice. So this happened in April, right? Surveillance. Fortunately, still in Germany, surveillance is rather illegal, but not everybody lives in Germany. So AnyVision facial recognition software, which was previously founded by Microsoft. Microsoft made a lot of money with it. It was used by the Israeli government to survey, track, and identify those living under military occupation throughout the West Bank. The system is used at Israeli army checkpoints that enclose occupied Palestine. Clearview AI was built a facial recognition database of billions of people by scanning their social media profiles. The application is used by law enforcement and rich people to spy on customer and dates. So don't put pictures of your children on social media, or your pictures as well. Uber's God View. Uber. Let Uber employees see data from all the Ubers in a city. The data collected was then used to analyze private intents, such as meeting up with a sexual partner. Because why not? I guess you stay at work and you think, like, what else can we do with this data, right? Predicting mass protests. The US Pentagon funds and uses technologies such as social media surveillance and satellite imagery to forecast social disobedience and infer locations of protests. And now you have to wonder, who is the one defining what social disobedience is? Again. Then on the other side, Palantir is a $1 billion startup that focuses on predictive policies, intelligence, and AI-powered military defenses. That is Peter Thiel's data company, and he's in a lot of startups that we are using quite a lot. Gait analysis, that's a thing. So your gait is highly complex, very much unique, and hard to impose or to impossible to mask. So gait is how you walk, right? It only needs to be recorded once and associated with your identity for you to be tracked in real time. This kind of surveillance is already deployed in China. And on the other side, SenseTime, which is one of the leading AI companies in China, and McVie provide integrated solutions of intelligent video analysis used in target surveillance, trajectory analysis, population management. Apparently in Beijing, there's at this temple, I had to put it there. Whenever you go there, you get 23.6 inches of toilet paper. And if you want more toilet paper, well, there's image recognition on your face, and you just don't get more toilet paper for 9 minutes. And Maria is now thinking the next IoT project I want to do in my bathroom is no. Sorry, I had to say. Okay, WeChat, a messaging app used by millions of people in China, uses automatic analysis to censor text and images within private messaging in real time. In real time, like this is like the upper level of like stopping people from doing politics, right? Of course, this kind of censorship is happening for all the political talks happening on WeChat. And the last, oh no, it's not the last, social credit. Social credit. So Sesame credit is constantly scores people from 300 to 350 to 950. I don't know. And its ratings are based on factors including consideration of interpersonal relationships and consumer habits. And I think that is like baby level steps compared to China, who has been working on a social grading system since 2014. And this credit expands to all aspects of life, right? It's judging citizens' behavior and their trustworthiness. And must be cool. And on the other side, health insurance. Imagine health insurance companies such as Vitality offers deals based on access to data from your fitness tracker. However, they can charge more or remove access to important medical devices if patients are determined to be non-compliant to unfair pricing. You don't get treated for cancer because you didn't go running this morning. We tracked you. I don't know. So, last topic was of awfulness, autonomous weapons. Now, the Kalashnikov group presented an automatic weapon control station using AI that provides the operator with automatic recognition, target elimination. Now, we just learned before that face recognition doesn't work very well. Image recognition is not at 100% accuracy. So we have automatic weapons that are using not perfectly working image recognition. Awesome. Uran-9 is an autonomous tank developed in Russia, and it was tested in the Syrian civil war. And apparently the test didn't go well. Okay. And Samsung developed and deployed SGRA-1, which is a robot-centric gun which uses voice recognition and tracking. Alexa, help me kill someone. I guess it has Alexa. I don't know. Okay, so no, Alexa is Amazon. Sorry, mixing them up. Armed UAVs. Zion UAV develops armed autonomous drones with light machine guns and explosives that can act in swarms. Okay, this is like out of my imagination sphere, so there's not much I can say. And this is also new. So military AI moves into production. Israel uses AI-guided drone swarms in Gaza attacks. So yeah, also accurate, I guess. So that was all really awful, right? I mean, it is, right? I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, right? And some of them are like awful, like it on purpose, right? Like people really wanted to build that and they thought for whatever reason that they have to build that, right? So, but the thing is that not all of the AI is bad on purpose, right? So with the awful stuff, so there's a lot of work in AI ethics going on and also data governance in EU and other countries. This is coming up quite more, and there's something now even happening in the EU. But what can we people in tech do? I mean, we are responsible for like not being part of amplifying this, right? So let's first go back and understand what is AI. So think about AI is like, it's a system, right? You have the data goes in, you have an algorithm on top of that. That algorithm has to optimize towards a reward, right? And then there's the application design. How is that put in production? Like who decides that we need to build that we need to do that, and where do we apply it, right? So let's take a simple example. We have data about animals that our algorithm is painting animals. The reward is that the dog is happy, and then the application design is that given the dog is posing and the algorithm is doing its thing, and then out comes the picture, and we are hoping that the dog is happy. Right? So, but what if the data that we are collecting is not about all the animals, right? Like we only have dogs, apparently we forgot about the cats. The cats are going to be upset, right? So of course, we can think that what does that have to do with the humans? But this is what it has to do with the humans. This is the share of population using internet in 2015. Now you see that there's a lot of representation going on in North America, in Europe, and Russia, and Australia, and some in South America. But there's a whole continent. Like, if you look at like eyeballing this, it's kind of half the world is not really participating to the pool of data that is used to train models that are used to decide about these people, right? So there's one bias. So you always have to think of, when you're building a machine learning model, is my data biased? Did we actually collect data that represents all our customers or whatever we are doing? Yeah. Then there's the algorithm. The algorithm itself can be biased. It might be that it's not robust to extreme values. Maybe it's too simple. Maybe it's too complex. Maybe it's just, you know, overfitting, underfitting, all of those things you learn in machine learning and data science courses. So, or, and this is even trickier. This is really tricky. The reward might be wrong, right? So in the example that I had, I was talking about dog happiness, right? But how do you measure dog happiness, right? It's like, there's no data for that. This is a metric that you would be inferring, right? So you would kind of say, oh, the dog barked like 5 times today, must be really happy, right? So this is like an objective that you're adding for your algorithm that is like, say it's proxy to something that you think, and there might come your already, this is kind of like a model already, right? Another model, like model over model, and you might be wrong. So what is happening in our industry, and why is this a problem? So usually in companies, if you think about it, it's the decision-making people that are deciding of like the product and what should be the objective. Also, they might even have ideas about how the data science team should be their work, are upper management, you know, senior management or so. And only 25% of them are data literate. So if you are a person in a senior position in a company, it is your job to become data literate, right? Because you're going to try to get people to put stuff out that might be wrong, or you might be part of the problem accidentally, just out of ignorance. Okay, and the last one, the application design itself can also be wrong, like where, how, and when the model is used. You don't understand your customer base, you don't understand your users, you do not understand if it's even needed, all sorts of things. And again, this is coming back to today, which is like Ada Lovelace. We are celebrating Ada Lovelace days, and it's all about diversity. And if you think about tech is not diverse, but our customers are diverse. So an undiverse pool of people are building products and are doing data decisions and are designing data products for a diverse pool of people. But this lack of overlap is leading to a lot of questions that are not being asked at the right time, right? So this is a picture from US. So you see here a lot of white people in a lot of positions. And what do they know about the rest of the world, right? What do we know about the rest of the world? We haven't lived as a person of color. I haven't lived as a man, but I'm glad about that. So, okay. So watch Coded Bias on Netflix, but it's also scary. And otherwise, read books. So these are my books that I'm recommending to you to read as your homework. You know, you have to put them on your to-do list, must be part of your plan. Race After Technology. It's from Rua Benjamin. She's basically explaining how, with the very best intentions of building an extremely unbiased system, you still can end up building a biased system. So a lot of people can, you know, be a village and build good stuff, right? And then there's also Algorithms of Oppression. You can understand how search engines reinforce racism, and also written by Safia Umoja Noble. And yeah, that's it. I'm done. Thank you.
So thanks a lot for the talk. I'm still shocked, but I'll try to make some thoughts about it. I want to ask you, how do you see, because of course we're not going to stop to use machine learning, and this field will just grow in the future, but how can you see, if there is hope in this case, or how do you see this happening?
Yeah, I definitely see there is hope in this case. It's just that a lot of data governance legislation has to be added in many countries. And I mean, it's cool with the EU that we are like in a bubble, you know, of things, and then it kind of pulls other countries in. If they want to do business with us, they kind of have to do some of the things that we impose, right? So that's going on, because the question is like, I think, like, think of autonomous weapons and you think, yeah, but the soldier can also make a mistake and kill someone. Yeah, but then you can say that soldier did something wrong. But if you have AI, you know, like, who's to blame, right? Like, I mean, the model, but the model didn't decide on its own to get used, right? Somebody put it there. And then there's these questions, they are still not really asked and addressed and stuff, right? So
my first thought was actually, there needs to be regulation, because it's something that has to affect all of us, but it has to be like a universal kind of regulation. But right after thinking about this, I also think that the government has to be more tech, build with tech people and people who understand software and can actually make this happen. So going through the comments here, Susanna say there's another great book. Have you read that one? Invisible
it's on.
Woman.
I have it. I haven't read it yet, but I have it, and I know a lot of the examples from it. Yeah.
And a lot of people really like it. I think they're a bit scared, but yeah, they really like your talk. They say it's great and frightening talk. Definitely, I think it makes everybody to think about the systems and so on.
Yeah.
And this one, I don't know if you want to comment about. He's talking about the legislation.
Yeah, so that's what I said. Like, I think with the legislation, so we saw already with GDPR that a lot of companies also in other countries, if you want to use a server with Amazon, you need to have it in Europe, or they need to implement GDPR in order to allow for you out of Europe to use it. So it was kind of like a very like a restrictive, you know. So it had to be adopted by our global economy, so to say, right? So I think in general, the global economy will kind of push the legislation to be pushed, but still there are a lot of financial interest going on. So we can stay on our island, but global warming is also coming. So
yeah, and I think that's also another topic, security. And it really, this talk, I think, does not stop now. It really gets longer, and we can talk this for hours, because there are so many things that touch everybody's lives. That's why I think interesting. So thanks, Teresa, for talking about. It's really important, politics, geographically, everything.
Yeah. So basically, just as a closing, I wanted to do this. I saw this GitHub page with all the examples, and I was like, oh, I always wanted. But when I actually prepared the talk and I went through all the examples, I was like, oh my gosh, this is, scary.
Yeah, it's scary. Oh, so I hope now we can go for the next news. Thanks a lot, Teresa. Big applause for everybody. Don't be scared. Let's try to change that.
Yep.
Yeah, hi everyone, and hello from Karlsruhe. Can you all see me and hear me and see my slide?
Yes.
Awesome. Yes, so after we decided that we are going to organize this event, we decided that it would be nice to reflect on all the past events that we have organized. It was mentioned in the introduction that PyLadies Global has existed for 10 years now. And also in Germany, our meetup groups, they've existed for less than 10 years and also different amounts of time. But still, we have organized quite a few events. So we decided it would be interesting to take a look at those. So on the left-hand side here, you can see what Meetup event page looks like, and also all the past events per group are listed there. So we scraped those using Beautiful Soup and then visualized using word cloud. So on the right-hand side here, you can see our scraper doing its job. And on the right-hand side here is the word cloud from Karlsruhe, from our past events. So without further ado, we would like to jump into the project and show you how we built it. And then after that, we will take a look at the results together.
All right, thanks for the intro, Ellen. I will now briefly show you the page that we scraped, so that you have an idea what it looks like. Exactly, now you see it. So here, probably you've seen this page before, or a similar page. This is just a Meetup homepage, and there you can see past events of Meetup groups. And so here, for example, from PyLadies Berlin, they've had a lot of events. And yeah, here you see the whole list of those. They are all, as you can see, shown in these little boxes always. And yeah, one thing I have to mention about our project is that the Meetup page is built in a way that you have to scroll down so that more events are loaded. And we just wanted to make a little, like a really simple project for this talk. So we focused really on the basics. So we are only scraping the first events in this project, but it's easy to build on this and extend it with another tool that allows you to scroll down and load more events, which we didn't do in this project. But yeah, first of all, I want to show you which information are we scraping. Actually, we are going to scrape the title of Meetup events, and then we will also scrape the text description. So here, for example, I'm showing you the description of the Boulder Gym project Meetup. So we're interested in this text here. We want to get this from the website to then be able to build some beautiful word clouds about these texts. So of course, not only from one event, but all of the events that are on the first page here. Yeah, so first thing I want to show you, this all depends on how much experience you have maybe with web scraping projects. So I'm assuming maybe there are some people who don't have a lot of experience, so this is maybe interesting. You can easily use your browser to learn more about the structure of websites that you're looking at by using this inspect tool of your browser. I do hope that you see this part as well now. So you should see my inspector. And you can now click on this little symbol here, the arrow, and you can use this to highlight elements on the website. And then actually down below, it shows you the source code, and it shows you the name of the classes. In this case, it's HTML code, and you can see that this box here is called an event card link, and it also has a URL, which we also will be using later on. So this is one thing that you can notice here, and if you do the same thing on another box, then you will see this is also called event card link. It also has a link. So you notice that every Meetup event is called or has this class name event card link. So it's actually a CSS class name, but the details here are beyond the scope of our talk. But it's important to have this kind of information to be able to use Beautiful Soup then and to look for specific elements of a website. Yes, now I will jump to the other tab. which has the code that we are using for our web scraping. And you can also take a look at this code because it's online already in our GitHub repository, which is called PyLadies Karlsruhe. And yeah, the project is called PyLadies Past Events Crawler. And I think what's interesting about it is you actually need really few lines of code to do this. I don't have a lot of experience with web scraping, and I was surprised by how easy it was to set this up. Yeah, so what are we doing in this code here? So first of all, of course, we have to define the URLs that we want to look at. In this case, it's for the PyLadies Germany meetup groups. This is the URL for each group. And then also the base URL of the meetup page, which we will need later on. Then actually this is the main function that does the web scraping work, and this is used for each one of those URLs. So first of all, we're sending a request. So we are just what this means is we are just sending getting the contents of the URL into and saving them in a variable, in this case in response variable. So this is just the source code basically of the website. So this is just what we saw, what I was showing you before in the browser inspector, and we're saving this to the response variable. Then we're using the package Beautiful Soup to extract the information that we need from this source code. So we feed the response content into Beautiful Soup, and then we use a function of Beautiful Soup. It's called select, and we look for these boxes that you've seen before, the boxes that contain each meetup event. And as we've seen, they were called event card link. So that's the tag that we can look for in the source code. And yeah, once we find such an event card, we can get the title by accessing the text of this event card, and then we can also get the URL of the meetup description itself. So that was what I had shown you before with the href descriptor. Yeah, so there you can extract the event page URL, and then you can do the same thing as above again. So again, you do a GET request now with this event URL. So now here we are actually accessing the website of the single events with the event descriptions, and we save their content in the event response. And then again, we can use Beautiful Soup to extract the content that we're interested in from this event response. And we are interested in the event description in the text, and we're saving that to a text string, basically. So this is all the magic that's necessary for scraping the meetup event descriptions. And so we do this for every meetup group. And save the results in a dictionary. You could do it in another way, of course, but that's just an easy way to do it. And now Ellen will explain you about the next step. The next step was, of course, building the word clouds from these texts that we have for each meetup group. So I will just jump to the file for that.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry, before we continue with Ellen, could you make the type a little bit larger for the next bit if you're still going through code?
Yes,
that would be perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Is it better? Is it okay now? Okay. Is it better?
Yeah. This
okay.
Looks better for me. Can I have a thumbs up if there's guys on this? Yeah. Maybe one larger, and then we're good.
All right.
Okay, great. Yeah, so after the data is scraped and saved to a dictionary, we we can use different visualizations or summaries of the data. So we chose word cloud, so using the package word cloud, which we have also shown in the introduction. With some pre-processing, removing some stop words, and the possibility to either plot one city or also to plot all the 4 German groups at once. And apart from the word cloud, we also use the NLTK package, where you can calculate some some n-grams, so some bigrams or trigrams, which means the words that most often occur together in a meetup. So for example, it could be, in our case, data science or machine learning were very frequent ones. So basically to get an idea of what is happening in the text and what are the topics. And of course, in that sense, also, this could be extended by topic modeling and other text visualization or summarization tools. Yes, and with that, we will jump into the result of the word cloud, more specifically into the 4 word clouds next to each other, which I will share again. Just 1 second. So here, just a second, you weren't supposed to see that yet. Everyone pretend you didn't see that yet. So here you can see the 4 different meetup groups with all their different word clouds. And we would like to ask you to write in the chat, and this goes to both the participants and the organizers, which meetup group you think belongs to which number, or if you recognize your own meetup group, maybe from some past events, you can just write the number and say, hey, I think number 2 is Karlsruhe, for example. So yeah, we already helped you a little bit in the past few seconds. So please go ahead and write your answers in the chat, and Johanna and me will be checking the chat and then revealing the solution soon.
I'm excited to see what the others from the other PyLadies Germany meetup groups will guess as well. I'm just checking. Okay.
Yes, me too. Yeah, I think some things are very similar among all the groups. Like, for example, we can see most of us have PyLadies as a very common topic, and of course Python as well, and code I see occurring in all of them.
Learning also, we have learning.
And then there's some very specific ones as well. For example, one group has the lady nerd, so that could be group number 3. That could be an indicator for those who know.
In 2, I see Boulder, someone said.
That's an important hint as well, I guess.
That's some detective work going on here. I can't even spot it in 2. It's Boulder. Ah, there, right at the bottom.
Right bottom, yeah.
Okay.
And Jim as well in the middle left.
What are you guessing? So there's a few guessing that 4 might be Munich. All right. Here's one person is guessing 1 might be Karlsruhe, 2 might be Berlin, 3 Hamburg, 4 Munich.
I also like 1 is very polite. Please is big.
Please is good observation, yeah.
Yes.
3 is Hamburg.
Topic about robots as well, and very strong code of conduct, I think.
Here we have another guess, 4 Hamburg, 2 Berlin, 1 Munich. It's quite similar to the other, but I think Munich and Karlsruhe are swapped in this case. So last chance to send in your guesses, and then we will show you again what the solution is.
So I think I've seen all the correct answers come by so far. So I will start the second revelation of the answers. So yeah, you guessed it correctly. Number 1 is Karlsruhe.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that you see that we kind of do have a little focus on data and machine learning. Ellen and me are both in data science, and I think that's why we might have a little focus in this direction.
Yeah, and an important hint here for those of you who know
Yes.
EMBW, it's Energie Baden-Württemberg. So yeah, it's like the Karlsruhe region. So that could have given it away as well.
True.
Apparently, we mentioned that several times.
Yeah, we had a meetup there, so yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Number 2 is Berlin.
Okay, yeah. Folks were guessing also because of Boulder.
Yes, also strong data focus, it looks like. Yes, and workshops. Yeah, and then number 3 was also correctly guessed.
Yeah, I think the lady nerds are giving it away, no? Teresa was saying it right away.
Yes, and then that leaves us with only one option for number 4, which is Munich, which has a very strong focus on Python and learning, but also machine learning, I think, cloud as well, model, and also quite some gifts and free stuff and quizzes apparently and prizes. So that sounds good.
And prizes, okay. Should take part in their meetups, definitely. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the little talk about web scraping, and yeah, let us know if you have any questions or comments about it.
Fantastic. That was super fun. I really enjoyed that. I'm wondering, like, when did you decide to put this together? Because I felt like I just heard about it a few days ago, so it's like very impressive.
Yeah, I think we had the idea last week. Yeah, we were talking about the event, and then we decided it would actually be really nice to take a look at the past events. And then first we wanted to go via the Meetup API, but that is only accessible for Meetup Pro members. And then we decided to go with the crawler approach instead, just to summarize some of the past events.
And then actually, I was really surprised how easy it was to set it up with Beautiful Soup. It's just really good. Yeah, really easy to grasp package.
Wanted to ask if that was something that you were already familiar with, the Beautiful Soup package, if you'd used it for scraping other things.
I personally had not used it before. I think I once joined the talk about it, but I didn't have any practical experience with it. So yeah, but I can only recommend it. Quite easy to get into it.
Yeah, I used it before, and it's really great. I really like it.
And seeing the word cloud about your own chapter, is that a thing that you're going to change now to get different words in there, or to increase the size of certain words?
I think we had one observation was that in our word cloud there was the word harassment, and then we were surprised. But I think it was just because of something about the code of conduct that contains this word. Yeah, maybe we can adapt something about that. But other than that, I think it was quite fun to see.
Very nice. Well, definitely seeing a lot of interaction in the comments. Folks really enjoyed guessing and promising they're not looking at the screen when we displayed the answer. Sorry about that also from my side. But that was really fantastic. Thank you, Ellen and Johanna, so much for putting this together. Also at short notice. It's really, really cool.
You're welcome. It was a fun project. So
yes, it was really fun. Yes, and if anyone feels like continuing this project, then feel free. It is on our GitHub.
Yes. Is it eligible for Hack October if folks want to join, considering it's October?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I think what Johanna mentioned with, for example, extending the project by using a WebDriver to scroll further down or something could be interesting, or scraping other stuff as well, extending the visualizations, many options.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think you just have to add the Hack October tag to the repository, or maybe to the PRs that folks open, and then if they make 5 contributions to open source projects during the month of October, they have the opportunity to win a special limited edition Hack October t-shirt or plant a tree. So
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone's writing here in the channel how to do that. So maybe for Ellen and Johan, but anyone else that has an open source project that they would like to get some contributions to, it's a great way to get involved in open source. Great. So we are coming towards the end of the evening, but first and foremost, I'm sure everyone is wondering about the raffle. I'm going to add my fellow hosts into the stream. So all of the folks who have been putting this together and helping us organize this event. I mean, not everyone is represented here on the screen. Some folks were helping on the side as well, but huge thanks to them. If somebody could kill a little bit of time while I put together the raffle and share my screen, that would be fantastic.
Sure. So just because we're over time, I will do the closing thank you notes to everyone who participated. So PyLadies are formed by volunteer. We're all volunteer that really enjoy and do that for love and the support sake for each other, which is very rewarding. And we put this event in a short notice, but I do feel how powerful it is when we get together to do it. Yeah, and I would like to also, I was very impressed with the selection of talks. It was not a very deep curatorship, it was almost spontaneous, but it does impress me the power of Python in those moments where you can talk about AI, web scraping, IoT, web development. And for me, this is one of the magic of Python. And of course, because it is an open source language and because this is the base of the support. So if you like it, join the chapters, join our meetups, join the organizations if you feel like you want to do more. And thank you very, very much, everyone who organized, who participated, who gave a talk, or who is here present sharing this moment with you. And is it enough time?
Cool. Otherwise, about killing, we can also talk about killer robots and stuff. No.
We've done enough time, so maybe we can have that discussion afterwards, or offline in the PyLadies Slack. So if you've not joined our Slack already, we don't unfortunately use Discord, but we do have Slack. And if you join in there, you'll find us. We're in the Germany channel, and each city has its own channel as well. We also have job offerings in there and mentoring opportunities, and you can also ask for any help with your projects. So this is our lineup of contestants, and we thought, well, what best way to run a raffle for an audience of folks who love Python? Let's use some Python. So just to quickly go through the prizes again, we have 3 books for the Quick Python that is published by Manning Books. Don't forget, they also gave us the discount code, so you can also get 35% off for the next 2 months regardless. And we got 5 book vouchers for O'Reilly. We got 2 personal licenses for JetBrains, who do the PyCharm ID. And we got 4 €25 vouchers sponsored by Comundo. So huge thanks to all of our sponsors. It really means a lot to us to be able to share this with you all in the community. And to be able to kind of, everyone have that opportunity to have access to different learning resources. So without further ado, the moment you're all waiting for, I will run the code. Could I have a drum roll, please? I expect everyone at home to be doing this.
Woohoo!
So here we go. Let me make this a little bit bigger. I see Bianca, you have won. Ellen, you have won. Ty, you have won. Marta, Boris, some of these are nicknames. Anya, Teresa, Ida, Mariana, Virginia, Ellen, Alba, Octavia, and Dorsef. So we will be in touch with you in the way that you let us know in the in the form so that you are able to claim your prize, and we'll give you all the details of how to do so. Thank you all for taking part.
I think the stream is going to be on YouTube for 2 weeks. So you can watch all the talks again and again.
So good evening, everybody. I will end the podcast now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good evening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.